everybody, and welcome to round number 2 of the 2023 GP4 Formula E Offline Championship. We are here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City for the Mexico City ePrix. And after a very exciting first race 2 weeks ago, hopefully Mexico can provide an exciting race. I am JW97, and just like 2 weeks ago, I am joined by regular F2 commentator Rob.
Hello, good to see you.
Yep, and we're about to hopefully get underway with qualifying as soon as Blake gets rid of the graphic and we get on with qualifying. We should be good to go, really. And here we go then. So now we're about to get underway for qualifying as soon as it clicks. And as you can see, it's going to be bright and sunny. No rain expected for qualifying. So without any hold-ups, let's get on with a 30-minute qualifying session here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Now, we have double-checked to make sure that we don't run into the same issue that we had at Interlagos 2 weeks ago. So hopefully we shouldn't have any issues with the drivers' names this time by. So all should be good, and we should hopefully get underway very, very soon indeed. I don't think it has a loading bar, and here we go then. So the 30-minute session is away, and as you can see, no issues with the naming tags whatsoever this time by. So luckily, we shouldn't be able to get any delays like we had last time around. We can just basically get on with it. Of course, for anybody wondering why we're on at a later time of 5 PM BST as opposed to 1 PM BST, it was because that Blake was travelling back from Leicester, of course, but it should be normal service when we go to Watkins Glen in 3 weeks' time. It is going to be a bit of a gap between round 2 and round 3, by the way, guys, but hopefully you can bear with the patience. Of course, we're trying to obviously spread it out over the course of a top-class calendar, of course, so you can kind of understand why, really. But anyway, Patacek is going to be the first driver out on the racetrack, and whilst the drivers prepare themselves for their the first lap now then...
let's talk about the previous race real quick.
Yes, indeed, because as mentioned, Rob, it's a very, very exciting race last time out at Sao Paulo, and it's safe to say, of course, Rosetta Martinez took the victory after passing Fitzwater on the final lap of the race. But when we were commentating last week, Rob, it was fair to say that we didn't expect that to happen.
Well, Fitzwater built a 15-second lead in the first stint. It looked very unlikely that anyone could beat him. But thanks to some luck with a retired car, Martinez was able to catch him and pass him on the final lap. So that was quite something.
Indeed, and... that's that really, and yes, we will do that, High-End, of course. We'll do that before the race starts, of course. So we are going to be, I will do that for High-End. So before the race starts, we will do a minute's silence for Thailand, of course, who had Malaysia, sorry, who recently had a tragedy this past Thursday, which saw the deaths of 10 people. So condolences to the families and friends of that, and yes, High-End, we will do a minute's silence before the race starts. So anyway, as we now look at... Mount Patacek, who's about to start his lap very, very soon now then, as he just goes around the stadium section of the racetrack now then, just coming around the hairpin and now into towards the Mansell corner we will go on this racetrack. And of course also we'll be starting is Jamie Griffiths, another man who, it's fair to say, going into this race is definitely determined to put the disappointment of Sao Paulo behind, because when we were at Sao Paulo 2 weeks ago, he didn't even make it to the first corner. He and Adrian Schlegel, I believe it was, ended up crashing at the first corner.
Yep, it was quite a quick crash at the beginning of the race, and these guys still haven't completed a racing lap this season.
Yeah, indeed, and they'll be determined to pick that up. Of course, Mexico City is known for having some Turn 1 crashes, of course, across all the series that have raced around here, so whether we'll see that in Formula E today, we'll have to wait and see. But Patacek and Griffiths have both just started their first flying lap now then, and let's see what the first sector has, at 27.358 for Patacek in the first sector there, as he just makes his way towards turn 4 on the racetrack, riding on board with Jamie Griffiths on the racetrack into the Essa de Lago now. Then we go. Obviously a lot tighter than what it was back in the 90s and 80s, of course. Obviously it was a lot quicker back then, but obviously they tightened it when Formula 1 returned to this venue back in 2015, of course, as now Griffiths will make his way towards the S's now. Then Miran FG has also just started a lap. He's just behind Jamie Griffiths out on the racetrack. We might as well turn our attention back to Marat Patacek, who's just in front of him on the racetrack now. Then as he approaches the end of the second sector, 1 minute 3.10 exactly, in fact, 1 minute 3 exactly, going through into the middle sector there for Marat Patacek in the Jaguar there. But Griffiths goes a little bit more quicker in the middle sector, 1 minute 2.9, and even FG goes quicker in the middle sector as well. In the Mahindra, of course. Mahindra now, of course, a Group 2 car in this series, so hopefully it should be a good display for them indeed. As Matt Patacek now, they're making his way around the final couple of corners on the racetrack now, then he will go as he now rounds the final corner and onto the pit straight now, then will go the Mercedes driver, and the benchmarker time is going to be a 1 minute 37.906. Jamie Griffiths crosses the line and goes quicker by 3/10 of a second. Mirin FG now, then he was going quicker than Griffiths in the middle sector. He now comes across the line. Can he go quicker now? No, he can't. He goes into second, 1/10 off of Jamie Griffiths there. Nguyen Minh Quan now then in the Envision Virgin racing car crosses the line now then, and he goes into 4th position, 5/10 off of Griffiths in the end. Adrian Schlegel in the Porsche now comes across the line himself, and he goes into 5th position. Coach Chun Cheong in the Venturi goes into 3rd, making that Focus Fitzwater using some slipstream goes to the top, so currently a Jaguar 1-2 at the moment. Alan Jefferson slots the 4th. Coachy Cheong now then goes to the top by 2/10 of a second, so the Malaysian driver goes to the top. Cesar Cohen Jr. now then comes across the line now then, and he goes into 10th position, a little bit off his teammate FG, it must be said. Fan Dot Lu goes into 11th. Here comes Hoang Min Nguyen, who's got Murillo Souza right behind. Souza goes into 3rd thanks to that slipstream, as Lu went into 13th place, and they are the first ones done with, because of course 13 cars go out at a time, and it is currently Coachy Cheong at the top of the timing sheets. Now you mentioned of course Rob, that Audi have got a little bit of a streak around here, and so far Coachy is doing a good job.
Well, Audi didn't get pole last year, but looks like they're going to resume that streak for now.
Yeah, indeed, but we've still got around just under 25 minutes to go in this session, and there's still 9 more cars that need to do a lap. But so far, it is Coachy Cheong at the top with Fitzwater in 2nd, Souza, a very impressive 3rd in the Andretti, with Griffiths in 4th, FG in 5th, Jefferson in 6th, with Coach Cheong in 7th. Then it is Patacek in 8th, Kwan in 9th, Schlegel in 10th, with Cohen in 11th. Then it is Nguyen 12th, and then Lu is in 13th position as they all make their way back into the pit lane now. Then with that very uphill as they go into the lane there, so that's obviously something to bear in mind when we obviously get to the mandatory pit stops during the race, of course. As Nguyen Minh Quan now then making his way into the pit lane now, then currently lying in 9th position. And we wait for the next set of cars to make their way
By the way,
to the racetrack. Go on, Rob.
Yeah, when I left Audi, I told Kogji to look after my car, and he's doing that just fine at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I did send the files over to Yuri High, and whether he sent them to Blake or not, I'm not sure. But there's supposed to be a new helmet there, but clearly I don't think Yuri's been able to send them in time, so I obviously have to... I don't think... Did you get sent anything, Blake? Okay, I'll obviously have to check with him on that one then, because I did send him some files to send over to you, Blake, but clearly he was obviously a little bit too busy, so I obviously have to catch up with him on that one. But sorry about that, High End. Hopefully it will get sorted out for Watkins Glen in 3 weeks' time. Obviously it's plenty of time to get that sorted out anyway. So anyway, as Bella Neuville is now going out onto the racetrack in the other Mercedes, her teammate Patacek went out first previously. Now it's her go to get out onto the racetrack quickly now then. As now Neuville makes her way out onto the racetrack now, then we go. As now Neuville makes her way towards the first few corners. Protsuit now coming out onto the track in the Virgin car, as is Jay McKenzie, who of course last time out, it must be said, Rob, was a bit of a produced a defensive masterclass in his first ever Formula E race, of course, and ended up getting 6th in the Group 2 Jettita.
He was 2nd early on in the race, but he just didn't have the pace to hold on. Still, he fought with everything he had and secured a respectable amount of points, so I don't think he has any regrets over that one.
Yeah, indeed, whether he can add more points to his collection, of course, here at Mexico City, a track that he is familiar with racing here in the top class. We'll have to wait and see, of course. He's raced here, of course, a total of 3 times, of course. In fact,
this car's a Group 2 car, right?
Yes, it is, but whether he can get a good result here or not, we'll have to wait and see. Jacubus Garatus goes out on the track in the Neo. Meanwhile, looks like Nguyen is going to go out there, as is a few other cars as well, who are obviously yet to do a lap. Only Jefferson and FG are out there of drivers who have already set the time so far in this qualifying session, as we ride on board in the cockpit of Bella Neuville in the Mercedes, who now makes her way towards the stadium section now then, as she will now make her way towards the hairpin now then. We will go, as now going through the left and right-hander. She now approaches Mansell before going on to the second part of the Peraltala, as now Neuville is about to start her next lap now then in the Mercedes. She makes her way down the pit straight, and Neuville now then about to start her lap now then in the Mercedes. Coachy Cheong has just gone back out onto the racetrack, as has Nguyen Minh, that was Hoang Minh Nguyen, who's gone out onto the racetrack. I got him confused there with Nguyen Minh Quan, the Envision Virgin Racing driver. Neuville now then blasting down towards the first corner on the racetrack now then, as she goes around turns 1 1, 2 and 3. Of course, Mercedes have been demoted to a Group 2 team for this season, so we're not going to be expecting too much of them this season to fighting for championships, at least this time by. As Neuville now approaches the end of the first sector, and she's 2 tenths down on Kochi in the first sector that time by, as the Belgian driver makes her way towards the left-right chicane on the racetrack, through the left, then into the right-hander now, then she will go using quite a lot of curb on that instance before going around the double right-hander now, then we go. You don't really need to, you just really need to use the steering angle once, really. You don't really need to use it 2 times on this circuit.
Just make sure you don't dive bomb any AlphaTauri drivers on the inside like Daniel Ricciardo did.
Yes, indeed. I don't think we've seen that so far in the OC, but you never know. There's always time to change that stat. But anyway, Neuville now then 6 tenths off in the middle sector. That time by now then she makes her way towards the stadium section now then, the former baseball stadium, which is obviously called, and they've even named the corner after it, the Four Soul. Obviously still gets used for certain events, just not baseball anymore. As Neuville now then through the hairpin and then into the right-hander she will go. She'll now make her way towards Mansell Corner, and now into the final turn goes Bella Neuville in the Mercedes, and let's see where she places her Mercedes now then. She was 6 tenths off of Kochi in that middle sector, so let's see where she's going to place the car. Bella Neuville across the line now then, she will go, and she goes into 9th position with that time. Ruslan Protsiut now then making... not bad for indeed. Here comes Ruslan Protsiut now then in the Envision Virgin Racing car, also a Group 2 car like the Mercedes. Protsiut now then onto the pit straight and across. He will go now then onto the racetrack, and he goes into, where does he go? He goes into 7th place on that occasion. Jay McKenzie now crosses the line in the DS de Cheetah now then, and it seems to have frozen up on my end here for some reason, so I can't really see what's going on. There we go, it's unfroze itself. He went into 2nd place on that occasion there. It kind of unfroze itself there, but eventually it got going there. So McKenzie in 2nd place. Daniel Adventure now then comes across the line, and he goes into 7th place. Here comes Jakubas Skaratis now then in the Neo, and he now comes across the line now then, and he goes into 12th position. Alan Jefferson across the line goes to the top by 2 tenths of a second there. So Jefferson to the top. Carpenter goes into 3rd, so 3rd and 4th so far for the 2 DS the Cheetahs. FG doesn't improve in the Mahindra. He stays where he is. Here comes the Kochi Cheon. Kaneko back to the top. He's actually down in his personal best in the middle sector. He crosses the line now then, and he stays in 2nd place for the time being. Dylan Allen now then making his way onto the pit straight, same with Rosetta Martinez, as they now come across the line themselves, and Dylan Allen goes 20th. P4 for Rosetta Martinez, meanwhile the winner of the previous race at Interlagos. Hoang Min Nguyen crosses the line, goes into 8th position. Just one more car needs to start the finish lap. That was Lucien, and he goes into 8th as Nguyen went 9th there on that occasion. So P8 for the Frenchman on that occasion. Neuville goes back in the pits. Not sure if anybody else is on the lap or not. I don't remember if there was anybody else behind her that was on the lap. I think there is, in fact. I think the car in front of McKenzie was on the lap. I could be wrong on that. No, I was wrong on that. It was Protsiut that was coming into the pits on that occasion there. But I think they are those runs done with, and it is now Alan Jefferson at the top of the timing screens. And it's safe to say he didn't have the best of run at Interlagos, but so far looking quicker at the moment here at Mexico.
Yeah, he's doing a decent job. And he is purple on his in-lap, so that could be interesting for the race. Maybe the overcut will be advantageous. At the moment, he's doing very well.
Yeah, indeed. We'll just have to wait and see if they can keep that up or not. As Jefferson now then will make his way back into the pit lane now then in the Nissan now then. As Jefferson now comes into the pit lane we go. As now we... And so far, it looks like nobody's joint on lap time at the moment, so everybody is not being equal at the moment, so it's not like we need to memorise anything or anything like that. So, yeah, that's that. But Jefferson is now back in the pits for Nissan Edams as we wait now for the next set of cars to do a lap. There's still 3 more cars out there at this stage. Just looking at the field at the moment, we'll just try and have a look. The Mercedes is 15th and 17th so far, so not exactly ideal for the Group 2 team at the moment. Obviously determined to try and avoid a Turn 1 crash if he can this time by. So we'll just have to wait and see on that occasion as Nguyen now makes his way into the pit lane for Porsche. Currently in the top 10 at the moment is the Group 3 Porsche. And we saw this last season over at Sakia how Nguyen was able to drag some performances in the Porsche, and it looks like Nguyen so far in this qualifying session at least is doing the same thing.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, indeed, and we'll have to wait and see. Currently, his teammate Schlegel's down in his 19th position at the moment, so not able to match his more experienced teammate at the moment. But we'll wait and see if Nguyen is able to keep that by the end of this qualifying session as we OBS, it seems. Okay, all right. Well, let's just continue now then. As Cohen now then makes his way around the first few turns on the racetrack now then. Currently in 20th position at the moment. So not exactly ideal for him. That's usually a position that we saw Mahindra being in last season, really. So Cohen just making as they go. As now we just wait and see if any. Now we obviously at the moment the top three are still out there on the racetrack at the moment. As now we will wait and see what Cesar Cohen Jr. can do on his next flying lap. Now then, as he'll now make his way towards the stadium section on this racetrack. Now then we go, and so we will wait and see what he's able to do on this occasion. As in the Andretti, as he will now make his way towards the double right-hander on this racetrack. As now Cohen approaches the S's in the Mahindra with just over 13 minutes to go in this session. Now then, through the S's we go, through the left and then into the right and left-hander. We will go now then, flicks the car in for the right and then into the left-hander. Now then we go, as Cohen now then still up on his personal best, but I think he's now 6 steps down on Jefferson in that middle sector now then, as Cohen now then making his way towards the stadium section now then. We will go. For the Mercedes or the Nissan, I think it was, that is behind him at the moment. It's a little bit confusing between the Mercedes and the Nissan, if I am being totally honest with you.
Yeah.
As meanwhile, I think we've got some audio issues at the moment looking at the stream chat, so apologies for that in case any of you can hear us. Fitzwater, meanwhile, goes up into second place. We'll keep on commentating in case the audio does come back. Neuville goes into 17th position. Patacek across the line goes into 18th place. So still the Mercedes is struggling at the moment in 17th and 18th so far. So far joining each other on row 9 on the grid. Here comes Jacobus Skiraitis now then in the Neo as he now crosses the line and goes into 13th position in the Neo. Pretty good effort there for the Group 3 driver there. His teammate, where is he at the moment? Fang Dut Liu is currently down in 21st position. So P13 at the moment for the Lithuanian driver. Not a bad effort for him.
Yeah, decent. Decent, I'll say.
Indeed so, as Skiraitis goes around turn 3 on the racetrack now then, as he now makes his way towards the left-right chicane. We will go pretty soon now then. And so that's pretty much that really. Skiraitis now then through the left and right-hander we go. And now we look at the, I don't think anybody else that's on a lap or improving their mode. I think they are the next ones done with. So Jefferson still at the top, but Fitzwater so far able to get his Jaguar onto the front row at the moment.
Yes, indeed.
as now Scarita's just making his way around the S's now. Commentating anyway and see if you can try and fix it within this qualifying session or not. But anyway, as Scarita's now then is now onto the racetrack, is now back in the pit. So all 22 cars are now back in the pit lane as we speak at the moment.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much that, really. As meanwhile, we can see that Alex Lucian is now going out onto the racetrack for Venturi. Meanwhile, as Lucian now then makes his way out of the pit lane now, and then currently 7/10 off of Alan Jefferson at the moment. And I did hear a bit of audio there in the background, so I don't know if it. Lucian, who we're currently viewing at this stage now then, as Lucian goes around the left and right-hander now then. And Lucian now then just making his way towards the double right-hander. So through the first and second part now then we will go, as Lucian now then just comes towards the S's. We will go now then on this racetrack. So through the left and then into the right-hander now then we go, as now Lucian will make his way towards the right and left-hander we go. So flicking the car in for the right and then through into the left-hander now then we go, as Lucian now then will make his way towards the stadium section now then we go, as now he's just about to start his lap. Just looking on the mini-map, there is one more car that needs to come out of the pit lane, but I think Lucian should be able to get away with it with no sort of traffic issues whatsoever now then, as Lucian now then goes around Mansell and then into the Peraltala now then he will go, as Alex-Eric Lucian now then makes his way down the pit straight and across the line. He will go to start his next flying lap. Luckily he's not going to get held up by Coach Chun Cheong in front in the Venturi now then. As we look at the rest of the cars are out there. Carpenter has just started his lap now. He's right on board with Alex-Eric Lucian as we now make our way towards the first few corners on the racetrack now. So through turn 1 goes Lucian, then into turn 2 now then we go, and then into turn 3 goes the Frenchman, as he will now make his way towards the end of sector Meanwhile, Schlegel goes up into 11th place now then. So, in fact, he gets in front of his teammate Nguyen. So, the Porsche driver now up into P11. A good effort there from the Liechtenstein driver there. So, that's that really.
Very interesting.
Jeff is... Nice. Blake's got the audio working so you can hear us again. So, Coach Cheong goes into 2nd place meanwhile, just in time. So, the Audi now goes onto the front row. FG across the line, and he goes into 9th place in the Mahindra. Banged up Lou, we're seeing a lot of improvements now. He crosses the line, and he goes into 15th position. Hoang Min Nguyen now comes across the line in the Porsche. Can he find some time in the last sector? No, he can't. He stays in 13th. Seiji Cohen Jr. across the line he goes. He goes into 19th. Still not doing well at the moment. Sousa, no improvement. Here comes Coach Chun Cheong now. Can he get anywhere near his teammate? He's also up on his personal best now then. Coach Chun Cheong now then making his way down the pit straight and across the line now then will go the Malaysian driver Coach Chun Cheong across the line. He goes into 5th position, so 1st and 5th so far for the two Siemens Venturi racing cars at this stage of qualifying now then. So Coach Chun Cheong now then going up into P5 at this stage now then. So that's pretty much that really at this stage. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. Is anybody else on an improvement? I'm not sure if anybody else is doing a lap or not, but it looks like no is the answer. So at the moment, Alex-Eric Lucien at the top of the timing sheets at the moment, but a raft of improvements that time by, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. This track is getting a little faster, and this could be quite good. Of course, let's not forget this track is the highest placed altitude on the calendar. There's less air, which means downforce, it's harder to generate. So getting a lot of downforce on the car is crucially important here.
Yep, indeed, and that's going to be something that the teams will have to keep invested with, of course. Of course, it can also be quite tricky to overtake, but not impossible, because we have seen overtakes across all the series around here at Mexico City. You really need to get good traction coming out of Mansell and Pelotala to have a very good chance of trying to go for a move into Turn 1. We also have seen some overtakes down at Turn 4 in the past, sometimes bump and run, but... yeah, we have seen some overtakes down there as well.
I still remember, and I won't forgive Eduardo Souza for... Sorry, I forgot his name, but I won't forgive him for bumping and running me off a few seasons ago.
I think it was Enis Paratsky, if my memory serves me correct, or was it? No, it wasn't Enis. I think it was
Brazilian Daniel. In the Jaguar.
Oh, I was thinking of Dore Bosch Daniel from a couple of seasons ago. I know that there was a bump and run involving your AI and his AI at one point, but that was who I was thinking of. But anyway, Jamie Griffiths is coming out on track, and he's
Eduardo
outside the
Silva. That was it. I forgot his name for a second.
Well, at least we found the name. It's been a while since we've been in any of the series, to be honest. But I think this could be the last runs that we're looking at here in qualifying, because we have just got under 3.5 minutes to go. Yeah, there isn't going to be enough
time for anything else. So if anyone's going to get pole, it's going to be now.
Yep, Jamie Griffiths, who's currently outside the top 10, is going out on track, and he needs to improve, because so far it looks like he's going to be in a very disappointing position at the moment. So far, it's not been a good start to his time in Formula V at the moment for Jamie Griffiths. His teammate Fitzwater is currently up in 4th place at this stage of qualifying, so we'll have to...
The last race didn't quite go to plan for him either.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, he got took out on that one. He barely got going, really, before his race came to an end, as he now makes his way through the left-right chicane on this racetrack now. Then we're just under 3 minutes to go in this session. Griffiths now then making his way towards the double right-hander now, then he'll go. And let's see who's going to be left behind, of course, because obviously it's 13 cars at a time, so who's going to be... We'll see who's finished off already once cars make their way out on track. They need to get out, of course, before the 1 minute 36 zone, otherwise they will have no chance of going for another lap here in this qualifying session. Griffiths going around the S's now then. He will go on the racetrack. Lucian's going out there to try and see if he can protect his pole position at the moment. Currently 1/10 in front of Kochi Cheong at the moment. Speaking of Audis, Adventure has just gone out of the track. He's also outside the top 10, like Jamie Griffiths is at this stage now then. Owen Carpenter, so far Techita doing well in 6th and 8th, looking to see if they can continue this. So far, their good qualifying form here at Mexico City, as now Jamie Griffiths now then making his way towards Mansell Corner, as he will now make his way around the final corner, as Jeff, as Blake likes to call it on the commentary box, as just said there, 2 minutes remaining on the team radio, so thank you for that. As Jamie Griffiths now then makes his way down the pit straight, and Griffiths now just starting his lap, as he will now make his way down towards the first few turns on the racetrack. Luckily for him, no traffic, so he shouldn't get any hold-ups on this occasion now. Then as Griffiths now makes his way down towards the first corner now then on the racetrack, looking to go into the right, and then into the left-hander now then we will go. Now he flicks the car into that right-hander as well. Let's see what Sector 1 has in store for the Welshman now then. Can he go green on his personal best in Sector 1? Let's have a look. And no, he can't. He's 75 thousandths off in the first sector. Whether he can try and pull some of that time back in the next 2 sectors, we'll have to wait and see. But so far, it's not looking to be a good qualifying session for Jamie Griffiths here.
No, definitely not. We'll have to wait if we can get some sort of improvement because otherwise it's going to be a difficult race for him.
Yeah, indeed, and he'll be hoping he doesn't get taken out in the first lap. He's kind of in the middle of the pack at the moment where you normally see some of the accidents happening across the OC. So anyway, Griffiths now then through into the S's now then we go as he'll now make his way in towards the right and left hander. Let's see if he can try and find some time in this middle sector. He's approaching the end of the middle sector. He's 2 tenths off and he's 1 second off Lucien. So it looks like Griffiths is not going to get a good lap here. Meanwhile, Juan is up on his personal best at the moment.
Very interesting.
Very interesting indeed. 2 tenths up on his personal best. He's 3 tenths off of Lucien in the middle sector. As we now look at Jamie Griffiths, who's just coming around the final couple of corners on the racetrack as we have 23 seconds left on the clock. Through the final couple of corners goes Jamie Griffiths. He'll now make his way onto the pit straight and across the line goes the Welshman now then in the Jaguar. Jamie Griffiths across the line now then. He will go 10 seconds remaining on the clock and he does not improve. So it's going to be a very bad grid position for Jamie Griffiths in this race. The Guillermin Kwan now then comes around the final corner and onto the pit straight now then. He will go as the checker flag is out, signifying the end of the session. Kwan crosses the line and goes into 7th, so he gets himself into the top 10 there.
Fitzwater's not improving.
He crosses the line and he stays in 4th position. No improvement. Jay McKenzie now then in the Cheetah comes across the line now then and he does not improve. He stays in 9th. Here comes Marat Patacek in the Mercedes. He's now going to come across the line. He's up on his first. So that's going to get the Mercedes into the top 10 across the line. No, he can't. Only 17th for the Czech driver. Dylan Allen is about to finish his lap in Andretti. A few more cars right behind him as well are about to finish their laps off as well. So Dylan Allen, the South African driver, goes around the final corner. He's currently in last at around about 7 tenths off of Bella Nueville at this age. Sorry, 6 tenths I should say. Dylan Allen across the line and no improvement, so he's going to be starting down in last. Jacobus Garetis, no improvement. Proxy, no improvement, so they stay where they are. Nueville breaks into the top 10, pushes Ebchi down into 11th position. Martinez goes up to 4th, so an improvement there. Found some time in that last sector. Adventure goes up to 5th, so he pushes Fitzwater down into 6th position. Lucien getting some slipstream, but I think that's Owen Carpenter in front. They cross the line, no improvement for either of them as a result of that, and that I think is qualifying done with, I think, and it is. So it is Alex-Eric Lucien who takes his first ever Formula E pole position as a result. A good effort from the French driver, and he'll be looking to try and get the victory a little bit in a few minutes' time. So let's go through the full grid then for this qualifying session. We just need Blake to click on the full session times, not continue. No. You press continue there as well. We'll go through it on the graphic that was on the stream, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'll just pause it and just screenshot it and put it in the our little chat there so that me and Rob can read it off. So there we go then. So on pole position we have Alex-Eric Lucien for the first ever time with Kochi Cheong in second, Alan Jefferson starts in 3rd with Rosetta Martinez in 4th. Daniel Adventure is in 5th with Zachary Fitzwater in 6th. Coach Chum Chiang in 7th with Owen Carpenter in 8th. Nguyen Min Kwan in 9th with Jay McKenzie in 10th. And Bella Nueville is in 11th. And you can do the rest, Rob.
Yeah, sure. Just give me one moment. There we go. Miran Evci is in P12 with Murilo Souza 13th. I don't know, I was about to say Alex Safgate, but it's Murilo Souza in 13th. It is Adrian Schlegel 40th with Juan Nguyen 15th. Jamie Griffith 16th, Van Duclu 17th, Mark Ptacek 18th, Jokubas Karaitis 19th, Ruslan Protsiuk 20th, Cesar Cohen Jr. 21st, and Dylan Allen 22nd. I almost forgot his first name there for a minute.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause whilst Blake sorts out the grid for the race here. But in the meantime, guys, do stick around because the race is coming up. In the meantime, I'm going to mute myself to get the tweet prepared for Twitter. So apologies if I go silent for a moment. I think Blake will actually mute the commentary as well whilst we're out. So stick around, guys, because the race is coming up very, very shortly. Okay, we are now back, and we've just sorted out the grid, so hopefully it all looks correct as we're about to get onto the grid. But of course, before we go onto the grid, of course, as promised, we will be doing a minute silence for the tragedy that recently happened in Malaysia, of course, which resulted in the sad death of 10 people. So if I ask everybody in the stream chat to remain silent for a minute, as we now commence with the minute silence. So I'll time that on my iPad so that we know it's exactly a minute. So just bear with, and right then. So the minute silence starts now. Let's now have a look at the grid then for the start of the Mexico. Get underway, of course. I don't know if he has pressed drive or not, because I don't know if the screen is frozen on our end or not. It did freeze for a little bit, so apologies for that. So now he'll press drive, I think. So there we go. It looked like for a minute the screen sort of frozen, but now it's unfrozen there, so thank God. So now we will hopefully Blake will take off the graphic, and then we can see what the grid looks like. Yeah. So just waiting for him to take off the graphic on the OBS, and then we can have a look, really, and then we'll go through the grid.
That's right.
So just having a look. YouTube. I wish YouTube would stop glitching. There we go. Eventually it did. So anyway then, let's have a look then at the grid then for the Mexico City ePrix here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. So on pole position for the first ever time in his GP4 OC career, we have Alex-Eric Lucien with Kochi Chiang alongside in second. Alan Jefferson starts in third with teammate Rosetta Martinez in fourth.
Yes, that's right. Afterwards, it is Daniel Adventure in P5, followed by Zachary Fitzwater and Kokjun Chung, with Owen Carpenter in P8.
The Nguyen Minh Quan starts in P9 with Jay McKenzie rounding out the top 10. Bella Neuville just missed out on the top 10 in 11th with Miran FG in 12th.
Yes, that's
kind of... There we go.
It's Cesar Coyne Jr. in 21st and Dylan Allen in 22nd.
Yep, and the weather, I'm going to presume it's going to be bright. The weather for today... What? Oh, right. Okay. Okay, well, I can see on the stream it is going to be bright and sunny. There we go. Bright and sunny. Let us get on with the Mexico City ePrix here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. And hopefully it should be a very exciting 43 laps coming your way here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. So, yeah. Of course. We're on the loading screen now. There we go then. We're on the grid now, Rob.
Yes, we are. We're waiting for this race to start. 42 laps. And who's going to win? Can Chung take the lead away from Lucien as it's go, go, go. Bad start for Chung. He's got some bad traction. Could lose second as Eric Lucien is pulling away. He's leading this Grand Prix. He should be able to hold on for turn 1. Jefferson is already up into second. as Adventure in the other route is making a move on his teammate. He's already gone past, and now he's going to try to make a move for a second into turn 1. Check out that the cheetah going down the inside. Meanwhile, as Adventure, can he take second? No, not quite. Chunk has dropped a lot of places, as Mackenzie almost ran to the back of another car there. But so far into turn 1, everyone's kept it clean, which is a surprise. Turn 1 has the reputation of being pretty chaotic here. But Alex Lucian, who started in first, has continued to lead.
Yeah, surprisingly, a very clean start here at Mexico City, but it is still, as a result of that, as our stream just decided to disappear there for us for a moment, now it's come back on, but it is at the moment still at the front, Alex-Eric Lucian at the front with Alan Jefferson in second position, some side-by-side action going through the chicane there, even towards the back of the field there, because I think Matt Patricek has not had a very good start in the Mercedes. He's dropped a few places from the start as well, so he's brought up the rear of the field, so a terrible start from the Czech driver. It's already been a terrible qualifying for him, and now he's bringing up the rear of the field. There's some side-by-side action going on there between the Mercedes and an Andretti going through into the S's, but luckily they were able to keep it clean on that occasion there. But it is still Alex-Eric Lucian who loses the race for the time being as Jefferson tries everything to close it down. Adventure currently in third position. We run on board with Coach Cheong. I know I'm going to get told off there by Owen Cheong over there, but he's all over the back of that is Owen Carpenter, who's currently in sixth position. It's been a terrible start for him after starting on the front row of the grid.
Yes, indeed, quite strange.
Oh, we got to yell out, there's been a crash down at the stadium section. There's 2 cars off. It's Dylan Allen and Adrian Schlegel. So for the second race in a row, Schlegel is out on the first lap.
Schlegel has still not completed a lap this season. What a shame.
See how it happened. Oh, was there a collision in front? Because Allen has already had his collision. What on earth happened there? All I saw was a lockup from that one in time. So what on earth happened? We're on board with the Kubis Curators who will make their way into the right-hander. Did he get himself involved? And yeah, he got clipped from the back by Schlegel, which punted him into Dylan Allen as a result. And well, really, 3 into 1 couldn't really go into there. And Adrian Schlegel with the turning circle, not able to get going. So already 2 retirements on the first lap, just like what we saw at Interlagos 2 weeks ago as Lucian sets the early fastest lap of the race.
Yes, indeed. We'll see if he can hold on, but he's got a lot of fuel in that car, 28 laps. Or electrical charge instead of fuel, because these cars don't run on fuel, but you know what I meant.
Yeah, indeed, and it looks like the pit stops will come just after the halfway. He's had to pit because, of course, he got damage from that whole exchange as well. So already race ruined for Jacobus Grace. Oh, there's been another collision. Coach and Owen Carpenter, I think, have had a collision going into the first corner here. And let's have a look at it. Yeah, he clipped the back of Carpenter there. And, well, I think that's all on Coachy there, I think. And
I'm afraid so. He was too impatient.
Yeah, indeed. Overaction. No further action, okay. Blake
I said earlier he was out, but I think he's still in the race.
Yeah. Yep, of course, Scoratus is currently in the pit lane. He's just finished his pit stop after repairing the damage, but at least he's not got too far to catch him after that whole exchange between Kochi Cheong and Owen Carpenter, which was deemed
what a disastrous start to the race for Kochi.
Yeah, indeed, but it's been deemed a racing incident. Blake believes that both played a part in that incident there.
It doesn't really matter whose fault it is if you're the wrong way around. The race is already ruined even if you don't get a penalty.
Yeah, indeed, as the top 3 look like they've broke away from the pack as Daniel Adventure does all he can to try and catch up to the back of, I think it's Alan Jefferson, of course, in second. Meanwhile, Miran FG, by what's all accounts, he's currently up in 6th place at the moment in the Mahindra. What a start the Swedish driver has had. Meanwhile, in front, there's a battle for 4th place soon brewing.
Yes, indeed.
As, meanwhile, we look at the rest of the pack at the moment now. Then Carpenter currently 19th after that whole little issue he had there with Kochi Cheong at the first corner, and it is Fitzwater and Martinez who are currently fighting. The 2 drivers who fought for the win last time out at Interlagos. FG now sets the fastest lap of the race in the Mahindra now then, so he's currently holding on to the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race, because it doesn't matter whereabouts you finish in Formula E, as long as you get the fastest lap, then you do get 2 bonus points. We got side-by-side action here between Koch Cheong and Nguyen Minh Quan, heading down towards the first corner. Down the inside goes Koch Cheong, and he takes P7 with ease. Over to 7th place it goes, as I've only just realised now that the yellow flags have now been lifted. Meanwhile, FG is on the back of Fitzwater, who I think has just been overtaken by Martinez on seen by the cameras. So Martinez back up to 4th as now FG is trying to attack Fitzwater here into turns 4 and 5.
Yes, that's right.
Not able to get the move done. Meanwhile, Neuville is now trying to attack Nagu and Min Kwan into the chicane. Can't make the move stick. Has to hang back for the moment. Souza currently in the point at the moment in the Group 3 Andretti. So he's so far in a good race at the moment. As meanwhile, Griffiths is still outside the point as we speak. Meanwhile, here comes Kochi Chung. He's trying to make his way back through the field. Is he going to pull off a double overtake? Yes, it is. Meanwhile, contact between Protziuk and Patacek there. But luckily, it didn't end in disaster. But who took advantage there? Kochi Chung. Oh! Contact there between Neuville and Kwan. But luckily, that also didn't end in disaster. So a little bit of a door panel to door panel action, as we call it in the touring car scene, between those two drivers there. But luckily, nothing really going on here. But there's been a lot of aggressive driving so far in these early laps.
These guys just can't keep it clean, can they?
No, definitely not. So right on board with Jay McKenzie across the stadium section. He's trying to get himself back into the points after what was quite a terrible start from the Polish driver, as now making our way through into that stadium section. As meanwhile, the gap is now just under a second between Jefferson and Adventure. So Adventure starting to close in on Jefferson in the final second. Meanwhile, FG, is he close enough to go for a move here on attacking Fitzwater? He's on the back of him. He's going to go to the inside line. He's got the slip to inside Fitzwater. Just seems to be a little bit off the pace at the moment in this race. They go side by side down towards the first corner. Has FG got the move done? He's on the inside. Surely
yeah,
he's got it done.
him.
He has got the edge on the Australian, and up into 5th place goes Miran FG. A good start for the race for the Swedish drivers. Somebody took the fastest lap there, but I couldn't see who it was.
FG is fueled relatively light, 21 laps in the wagon. It explains his strong pace. We'll have to see if he can keep it going the whole race though. Traditionally here the overcut is more powerful, so while he is faster now, it could come at a disadvantage later.
Meanwhile, Mackenzie and Souza are fighting for the final points place. Without Mackenzie trying to get a nose ahead, going into the chicane. They're going to go side by side, heading into turn 4. Can Mackenzie and we're on the outside. You know what? He has. What a move from the 2-time top class champion.
Fantastic stuff there. Let's see if he can keep pushing. Meanwhile, Adventure, the one who is having good luck in this race, is in 3rd place, and we'll see what sort of progress he can make.
Yep, indeed, as now the fight for 2nd place is on here between Alan Jefferson and Daniel Adventure now. As they make their way through into the stadium section on this racetrack now. Then meanwhile, Coach O'Chill is trying to attack Zachary Fitzwater himself into the stadium section, but can't make it stick again. Fitzwater just seems to be lacking a little bit of pace in these early laps. Is now going through Mansell and then into the final corner. His Adventure going to be close enough to go for a move on Jefferson. I think he is. He's quite close to the back of the Nissan driver, so he just needs to gain the slipstream. As meanwhile in front, Lucian has just set the fastest lap of the race here at the front, so he's going to now on to the 2 bonus points for the last lap of the race. We're now looking at Adventure, who's on the back here of Jefferson, and they go down towards the first corner. Has Adventure got the move done as they go side by side, heading towards the first corner, side by side, heading into turn 1 as Adventure got the move done. The answer to that is yes. Adventure up into 2nd position, and he's on the charge at the moment. Coach Cheung now makes the overtake on Zachary Fitzwater. Looks like he didn't even need to wait for the corner. He's up into 6th, although can Fitzwater getting back into the first corner. He's going to try and get back on the inside of the Malaysian driver to go into turn 2, but Coaching's going to do enough to hold on, and he takes 6th place. Neuville now on the inside of Kwan into the first corner, but it looks like Kwan is going to hold on for the moment. Mackenzie now joins in the fight for 8th position, as Souza now having to fend off from Jamie Griffiths as they now join into that fight that's going on in front.
Yes, that's right, and Mackenzie is trying to hold on to 10th. He must have had a bad exit, but I think he's going to lose position here. Souza goes through, he's on the outside, and he's clearly ahead. Mackenzie wasn't able to dive back through. I don't know how he lost that much time, but he did lose the time.
I'm going to presume he got pinched at the exit of turn 3 there, but either way, for a brief moment going down that straight, it was 3 wide. Unfortunately, Griffiths not able to take 2 places at the space of 1, and he's still down in 12th position at this stage. Meanwhile, Mackenzie now trying to attack Souza into the S's, but can't make it stick. Souza holding on to that final place for the moment.
Despite that minor setback, Mackenzie should still have decent pace today.
Should do indeed, as Martinez meanwhile is trying to gain on his teammate Alan Jefferson. In front, we'll wait to see if that fails or not. As now we run a goal with Jamie Griffiths, who's got the back of the 10th right in front of him now. The Mackenzie now looking to the outside. It's Griffiths trying to make it 3 wide into the corner. He could get both here as that was so close to contact. How on earth that didn't end in disaster, I don't know, but either way,
only gained 1 place, but that was brilliant the one he did gain.
Yeah, indeed. I thought that was going to end in disaster there for a moment because he left his braking far too late, but thankfully it didn't, and he's up into P11 now. He'll set his sights on the
Pedro, you were saying earlier that you can only overtake at turn 1 and turn 4. Looks like you've been proven wrong there.
Yeah, because it seems we've got some overtakes down at the stadium bit now, then, as we've just seen with Griffiths there and Mackenzie. Meanwhile, Neuville trying to gain back onto Nagu and Min Kwan in front, who's currently in 8th place at the moment in the Envision Virgin Racing car, as Lucian still continuing to lead out in front at the moment, but we can't fool ourselves too much because we saw this from Fitzwater 2 weeks ago, and look what happened towards the end of the race. As the second half of the race kicked in, he was getting caught up by Rosetta Martinez. Yes, he got a little bit of assistance with traffic, but he was still gaining on him before then. Oh, up goes Sousa! Sousa is out of the race.
No.
Now, was that a collision with Jamie
Must
Griffiths
have
or
been.
not?
You don't lose your wheel without a crash. Griffiths went down the inside. He just understeered into him.
He locked up going into the corner. I think that's going to be a penalty there for Griffiths, I think, because he left his braking far too late. Five seconds. Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. So a 5-second time penalty for Jamie Griffiths. Maybe the lock was a little bit was the thing that made sure that he didn't lose too many seconds in that penalty. But I think he
should have let it go.
Some damage.
Honestly.
I think he's got damage. I think it's got to go unpunished. I think it's a little bit. It was a bit of a sudden done there, but a 5-second penalty for Griffiths, but he's now got to make his way back to the pits with the front wing. So already his race going down the drain, and what was looking so promising, he's now just basically just threw it in the toilet there.
He's going to have to fight for a recovery, as if he didn't need to fire already. I'm starting in 16th.
Meanwhile, Jefferson, despite losing the place to Adventure earlier on, is already gaining onto the back, still keeping up with Adventure in front. So it looks like those two could be back there very soon. Meanwhile, Neuville once again attacking Quan for 8th position, but can't make the move stick there, as now they make their way through into the end. Griffiths having to tour his way back into the pits with a damaged front wing as a result of that. So that's that really is now. That really is. Now we look at the rest of the field. So it looks like Quan's built a bit of a gap to Neuville, I think. So I don't think Neuville is going to be close enough to go for a move here. I could be wrong, but she can't really go for a move into turn 1 because it is still yellow flags down there. If you go for a move down into that corner, then it's a slammed up 5-second penalty for overtaking on the yellows. But either way, Neuville wasn't close enough on that occasion. But the yellow flag's out at turn 1, so no overtaking at that part of the track. Griffiths, I think, has just made his way back into the pits. Griffiths now makes his way back into pit lane now then, and he's going to lose a heck of a lot of time as a result of that. Obviously, we've still got the invisible mechanics from Interlagos, so do ignore that as best as possible. So just pretend that they are there. I had a similar issue when I was hosting the top class previously in the past, so just ignore that. 6.1 seconds for Griffiths, so a quick front wing change there. As Proxy, meanwhile, has just overtaken, that was a Carpenter, but that could be a penalty because it was in the yellow flag zone. Proxy on the inside, that could be a 5-second penalty. We'll have to wait and see, and I think it's going to be, unless he completes the move. We'll have to wait and see on that, and he does, so I'm afraid that is going to be a 5-second time penalty for Ruslan Proxy. Yep, so that's a no-brainer there. 5-second time penalty for Ruslan Proxy as a result of that. As meanwhile, FG is currently looking a little bit lonely in 5th position at the moment in the Mahindra. But so far, still doing a good job in this race so far. The yellow flags have now been lifted, so Proxy should have waited really until about a lap, and then he could have done the move legitimately. But unfortunately, it's a slammed up 5-second penalty. But either way, Neuville is trying to overtake him back. No, that's Quan, I think that's in front, isn't it? Sorry, that's not Proxy. That's Neuville now trying to attack Quan again. These two have been fighting for quite a while in this race.
Yes, that's right.
As now we can see now then, as we ride on board with Nagu and is trying to overtake in front. That is Marat Patacek in front of the Mercedes now then, as they make their way towards the stadium section. And Patacek looks like he's gained some places after his terrible start to the race a little bit earlier on, but he'll be expecting a little bit more in this race at this stage now then. Let's look at the moment. Lucian still with quite a quick gap out in front of Neuville. Let's not go for a move on Quan here. Let's wait and see. Trying to get in the slipstream as Jay McKenzie now sets the fastest lap of the race, so he now currently holds on to the 2 bonus points to the fastest lap of the race, and Neuville again.
Told you he had pace.
Yep, indeed, as Neuville not able to get the move done on this occasion now then, as they're coming around turn 3. We will go on the racetrack now, then we go, as they now make their way towards the turns 4 and 5. Lucian still with a big lead, and as mentioned earlier on, Jefferson still keeping up. As getting close a little bit there between those two. Can Neuville pull the move off around the edge? She's going to try and hang over that side. What a move there! It was a little bit tight, but she got the move done. Neuville up into 8th position as Kochi Cheong takes P11 there from Cesar Cohen Jr.
Fantastic stuff.
Meanwhile, Carpenter is trying to attack trying to attack Ruslan Proxy, who of course has got a 5-second penalty for that. But Neuville, a great move indeed for the Mercedes. She's up into 8th position. Next target for her is the struggling Zachary Fitzwater at the moment.
It's the same track as last year, but for some reason it looks a lot more raceable.
Yeah, indeed so. As meanwhile, Coach on Cheong goes on again. I don't know if Yuri has made a little tweak to the physics settings before sending him over to Blake or not. Good. Okay. So, sorry about that, Blake. Yeah, okay.
That explains it.
Yeah, so the gearing has been changed for these cars as well, which is could explain why we're seeing a little bit more. Meanwhile, Adventure is now 6.1 seconds behind Lucy. I'm not sure if he's gaining on 2 or not, but that's definitely something we can keep an eye on throughout the course of this race. Although we've still got Alan Jefferson 1.1 seconds behind. It's gone up now actually to 6.3 seconds. So Lucian is actually in that first sector by 0.2 of a second on that occasion. Oh, problems there for Griffiths! Griffiths has got a problem! Some more issues. He's got a pit indicator. What's the issue on the steering wheel? I couldn't quite see there, and unfortunately the visor's coming in. It's a loose wheel for Jamie Griffiths, and it's going to have to be another impromptu pit stop for the Welsh driver. So more bad luck for Jamie Griffiths here.
If you thought things couldn't get worse for him, they just have, and he's going to pull over and retire.
So once again, he's still yet to finish a race in 2023. As a result, his car is reversing back onto the track. Hopefully it doesn't go onto the racing line. I think his car's about
Hurry
to
up,
stop.
Marshall, get it out of the way.
I think he's just off the racing line, so thankfully Lucian shouldn't have any issues with that at all. Just to clarify there, yep, he's off the racing line, so no issues there. But either way, for the second race in a row, Jamie Griffiths is out, and just like Schlegel, he's still yet to finish a race in 2023.
At least he's managed to do a lap, unlike the Liechtensteiner.
Yeah, indeed, and well, for Griffiths, it's game over for the Welsh driver. What an awful start to the season it has been. He was hoping when he moved here to Formula E after a dreadful time in the top class last season that maybe his look would change, but sadly, it is not the case. And
he's going to have to wait a little longer.
And by a little longer, I mean possibly in 3 weeks to try and get his first points, because the next race is in 3 weeks' time over at Watkins Glen. So he'll have to wait a little bit of a while before he can possibly try and try and get his season started, really. As meanwhile, we look at Fitzwater, look at the gap between him and Neuville. Unfortunately, the camera cuts off there, but looking at Adventure, he's still losing time to Lucian, and in fact, he's now starting to gap Alan Jefferson. You can see with the gap on the bottom right there, it's now gone up to 1.6 seconds. 6.5 is the gap between Lucian and Adventure. Meanwhile, we're on lap 10 of the race at this point in time, so I think at around about, I want to say in around about 10 to 15 laps time, we should expect the mandatory pit stop. The first legit pit stop, not ones for damage or mechanical issues, to get underway in this race now. Then as we look back at Jefferson now then, who's just now starting to lose time to the Audi driver, but he's got a comfortable gap to teammate Martinez, who earlier looked like he was gaining, but it just looks like Martinez is just settling into a bit of a rhythm at the moment, and not really gaining onto his teammate at the moment. Yeah, that's that really. As now we look at Jefferson now then, he's just making his way around the right-hander. As here is Martinez, who's made a bit of a mistake there. He's locked up, and could FG capitalise, because FG is just right behind there at this stage. So Martinez clearly struggling at the moment. He's going to lose some more time to Jefferson, and could that invite FG to close up on the Nissan driver here? So far FG is having a brilliant race here at Mexico.
Yes, absolutely, though he's not exactly close enough to attempt to pass. But he should get closer. As we got a big crash, Quan has spun around. How on earth did this happen?
I think he's collided with someone, because I think I saw another car involved, but we'll have to wait and see on the replay see what happens. Did he make contact with Neuville by any chance? Let's have a look and see. And the answer that is yes. Clipped the back of Neuville, and Neuville also went straight on as well in the process and ended up losing their place to McKenzie. It won't be a penalty, of course, because, well, that was all on Quan there. He's lost out the most on that occasion, but, yeah, Quan clearly
his own incident, as you like to say during the FMC days.
Of course. Yeah, it's just a bump and run, but a failed bump and run in the case of Quan there, because he's lost out the most in all of that, and Neuville's only really lost one place, so it could be two in a minute, because Koichi Cheong could take full advantage here in the Audi, as he's now going to go on to the inside of the Mercedes drivers. They go side by side, heading down towards first corner. Just behind is Cesar Cohen Jr. as well, so he looks like he could try and get Mahindra some double points here, as now they go down towards the first corner. Has Koichi got it done? And yes, he has. He's up into 9th position, so Koichi with a brilliant recovery so far in this race. Lou, meanwhile, on the inside, trying to make a
comeback after those disastrous opening 2 laps.
Meanwhile, the two Vietnamese drivers of Lou and Quan are fighting for 12th position, but Lou unable to get the place on that occasion. Meanwhile, down the inside goes Skiratis, Lou's teammate on that is Ruslan Proxuk, who's obviously got the 5-second time penalty. It looks like Proxuk is just struggling a bit at the moment, and he's now down to 18th position. So Proxuk really struggling so far in this race.
Oh yes, for sure.
Meanwhile, we're riding on board with Mir and FG now then in the Mahindra as he now just flips the car into the right hand and tries to keep on Martinez. Actually gapped out to 1 second now between himself and the Filipino driver. So now going around towards the final couple of cars. I'm not sure if FG is going to close. Meanwhile, Lucian now sets the fastest lap of the race, so he takes back the 2 bonus points at this stage. So Lucian now with the fastest lap of the race here at Mexico City, and FG not close enough on this occasion to go from really too far back. So he's going to have to try another lap to see if he can try and get to the back of the Nissan driver as quick as possible. As it looks like the top 5 kind of separated themselves a little bit, well, apart from Martinez and FG, obviously, but it looks like the top 3 are kind of settling into a little bit of a rhythm so far at the front of the field. Coach Chun Cheong, meanwhile, 4.8 seconds behind FG and trying to make his way back through the field like his brother Kochi at the moment. Meanwhile, Cesar Cohen Jr. is now just 1 place away from the points and trying to catch up Bella Neuville. Has actually gapped the Mahindra driver as we speak at this stage. So, yeah, that's pretty much that, really. But it looks like, in fact, looking at the pack, it just seems like everybody maybe starting to settle a little bit at the moment and maybe trying to get towards the mandatory pit stop stages. I'm not sure.
We've seen in the past that strategy can influence things a lot here in Mexico, so people are just waiting for that moment.
Indeed so, as we ride on board with FG now, it is actually to number 10 by the Martinez on sector 1, then a gap down to 0.8 seconds, so he's still material amount on Martinez at the moment, but still trying to put some pressure on the early championship leader at this stage now. Then coming out of sector 2, now down to 0.7, so he's actually taken another 10 out of Martinez on that occasion. Now then meant that 6 rounded up on the death panel at the top there. So that's pretty much that, really, as meanwhile Cohen tries to gain back onto Bella Neuville in front at this stage. Now there's to make their way towards the S's. We will go, flicking it in for the left, right and left. They will soon go on this racetrack now then. Meanwhile, running on board with Mir and FG. Is he close enough to go for a move here on this Martinez? Let's wait and see. If it comes down the pit straight now, then we will go on this racetrack now. They're heading down the pit straight. I don't think he is close enough to occasion, but he is getting close. He's now down to 0.6 now on the death panel. So I think maybe next lap could be his first chance to try and get the Nissan driver in front. As we now go towards the first few turns on the racetrack now then, and looking at the gap between Lucian and Adventure, it's now just gone up to 7.3 seconds so far in this race, as they've just come out of the third turn now then on this racetrack. FG now close to the back of the Nissan drivers and now make their way towards the left-right chicane. We will go, and he's already going defensive, so now Martinez is starting to feel the pressure here, and FG could actually attack the Nissan driver here very, very soon.
Let's see if we can get the job done.
Going around the double right-hander now then, we will go on this racetrack. FG trying to put some pressure on Rosetta Martinez as they now make their way towards the S's now. Then just a little bit further back is Coach Chun Cheong in the Venturis. Meanwhile, unseen by the cameras, Cohen has got 10 from Neuville. So over to P10, goes Cesar Cohen Jr. and he got the move done down into turn 1. So now both Mahindras are into the points.
Got long before the braking zone, just has straight line speed advantage and put it to good use as meanwhile Protsiuk is defending. Let's see if he can keep a hold of P17.
Yep, Skoritis is all over the back, although I do think that Proxy might have actually just overtaken him there going into the first corner, but I could be wrong on that. Either way, Skoritis trying to get the place back off him. He's actually going to try and go to the inside, but Proxy wise to that and covers off the inside going into the corner, so he holds on to 17th, and I think it was a defence because I haven't seen on the graphic any up and down arrows at that point, so I think, yeah, you're all right. I think Proxy was just a event. Lucian sets another fastest lap, but what is going on between FG and Neuville? Here they are. There's a go around the final corner. Is FG close enough to go for a move? I think it is. Sorry, it was Martinez.
Chance.
As now they go down the straight, right in the slipstream. FG is going to go to the inside in the Mahindra now. Then Martinez doesn't put up too much of a fight as they go down towards the first corner now. Then as FG got the move done, side by
There's
side.
nothing he could do on the straight this long to defend.
Down the inside he goes into the first corner and he gets the move done. FG up into 4th position and, well, he's doing a great job at the moment as he gets up into 4th as Martinez loses a place to the Mahindra driver. As meanwhile Skoritis trying to attack back on Protsiuk, as meanwhile Mackenzie now takes the fastest lap back away from Lucian.
As long as you're close enough to the car in front out of the Peraltada, the overtake is a certainty.
Indeed so, as we now on board with Fanduk Lu is now all over the back of Nguyen Minh Quan as they go side by side, heading down towards the first corner now then on this racetrack. Side by side they go, heading into the first corner. Is Lu going to get the move done on Quan for P number 12 here? Danny inside, and he does get the move done later on the brakes, and Lu up into 12th position. He's now just 2 places away from the points.
There's still power to points for him, so we'll see. I'm very interested to see if he can get a point or not.
Meanwhile, the man Meanwhile, the man who's currently holding on to the fastest lap, Jay McKenzie, is now all over the back of Zachary Fitzwater here. So again, just reiterating with a few laps ago, Fitzwater clearly struggling on this stint at the moment, and I guess he's now just praying for the mandatory pit stops to come sooner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going around the S's now then, we will go on this racetrack now. They now make their way down towards the stadium section. We will go on this track. McKenzie trying to find a way through on the Jaguar, but can't make the move stick as the Fitzwater defended the inside going into that part of the racetrack. McKenzie now then will try and maybe go for a move on the pitch straight if he can. Patacek meanwhile is close to the back of Nguyen Min Kwan now. Then looks like Kwan's just dropping backwards at this stage now then in the race. But is McKenzie close enough to go for a move on Fitzwater, I wonder? Because they are fighting for 7th place. And there we go. He's right on the back of the Australian now. Then as they make their way onto the pit straight. McKenzie now then tucks into the slipstream as Zachary Fitzwater goes to the inside line. Can McKenzie pull the move off as they go side by side, heading down towards the first corner on the racetrack as we run on board in the cockpit of Jay McKenzie as they go down towards the first corner, down the inside into the first corner. And he didn't even need to wait for the corner.
Coming back at him.
Because Fitzwater's coming back. He's going back at him, and Fitzwater takes the race back. So a little bit clumsy there for McKenzie, it must be said.
I wouldn't call it clumsy. I'd just say a great counterattack from Fitzwater.
Yeah, indeed. As now we look at that is Patacek trying to get back at Nguyen Min Kwan into the first corner there, but he can't make the move stick at this stage of the races. Meanwhile, McKenzie still trying to attack Fitzwater, but can't make it stick, so he's going to have to hang back behind the Australian for at least another lap. And I think Fitzwater might actually gap him for a little bit for the meantime. As Patacek now then trying to go for a move on Kwan, heading into that chicane now then, but not going to make it stick. Kwan holding on to the place for the moment as they make their way through into that chicane. Meanwhile, Protsiu trying to re-overtake, I think that is Skaratis in front of Skaratis, holding on to P17 for the moment now then, and well, that's pretty much that then at this stage of the race. There's Miran Efchi, who's now starting to gap Rosetta Martinez
has
now.
Calmed down a bit, I'd say.
A little bit, but I think there's still going to be a bit of a battle soon between Fitzwater and McKenzie very, very soon.
Yeah, totally.
We'll have to wait and see on that as best as possible. As here they are, speaking of which, in fact, Kochi Cheong is now on the back of that battle, so it's now going to become a three-way scrap for 7th place very, very soon now. Then as McKenzie rounds the final couple of corners on this racetrack. Now there's a bit of contact there between Patacek and Kwan, and Patacek has gone around, so we saw something similar with Neuville earlier on, and well, it looks like...
The corner where Kwan was spun around, now he spun someone else around.
Yep, so Patacek, the biggest loser out of all that, and he's dropped down to 16th as a result of all of that. So really, like what we saw with Kwan earlier on, a bit of impatience from the Mercedes driver.
Pretty much the best way to describe it.
Meanwhile, it looks like the same thing has happened again here between McKenzie and Fitzwater, although this time, no, never mind, Fitzwater gets back 7th place, so Fitzwater is not letting that place go, as Kochi Cheong is now on the back of the cheetah driver, but McKenzie trying to get back on the Jaguar as quick as possible here, as they're going to go side by side, heading towards the chicane now, then Kochi looking for any opportunity to pounce, and McKenzie has now got it done, so McKenzie up into 7th place as Kochi Cheong now tries to go through, but he can't, and now Cesar Cohen Jr. joins the fight as a result.
Yep, that's right. Kokji's doing a good job to recover, as meanwhile Fitzwater doesn't appear to have the pace he had in Brazil.
Definitely not. He has mandatory pit stops to come sooner in this race, as meanwhile Fitzwater still again trying to fend off from the Audi and the Mahindra at this stage as he continues to tumble down the order. It just seems like maybe there we go. Right. Okay, sorry about that, guys. A little bit of a technical issue as we get going. Again, as McKenzie makes his way through the first few turns, as he's now getting away from Kochi Cheong, who has now got up into 8th position now. So he's past Zachary Fitzwater, and up into P8 now goes the Audi driver. So again, Fitzwater is just tumbling down the order here.
Yeah, indeed. He's lost some pace, and he's not looking that fast at the moment.
Indeed, as meanwhile Lucian has now got a 7.8 second cushion at the front of the field as they now make their way through into the chicane, and now heading towards the double right-hander we will go on this racetrack now, then we will go. Carpenter, meanwhile, is overtaking the Guin unseen by the camera, so he's now up into 14th position. As meanwhile, it looks like somebody else has now joined in the scrap with Fitzwater, because it looks like, I think, Newerville, I think, has just joined into that scrap as well. And yes, she has. So it looks like Fitzwater, if he's not careful, could find himself out of the points very, very soon.
It appears to be that way.
Yep, indeed, as they now make their way through into the S's now, then we will go, as the gap is now up to 8 seconds now between Lucian and Adventure. At this stage, make their way through into the S's now, then we will go on the racetrack. As meanwhile, FG still looking very comfortable in 4th place, but he's 3.1 seconds behind Jefferson. Not sure if he's gaining onto the Brazilian or not, but we'll wait and see as he comes out of the first sector. And he is, in fact, down to 2.9. As meanwhile, Mackenzie sets the fastest lap of the race. So far, he's looking pretty quick in that DSGT and currently holding on to the 2 bonus points. So we're still yet to get to the first round of pit stops.
I wasn't expecting Mackenzie to be on track for a better finish here than he had at Brazil.
Yeah, indeed. As meanwhile, Cesar Cohen
Well,
Jr.
he's not 6th at the moment. He definitely has a chance to take it before race end.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, as the race progresses. And of course, we're still need to get to the mandatory pit stop. In fact, he's gone a little bit quicker than his personal best in the first sector. So could he be looking at another fastest lap of this race? We'll have to wait and see. But FG is gaining onto Jefferson. I have just noticed that because it has just gone down to 2.7 seconds. So FG is currently flying at the moment in the Group 2 Mahindra.
He's got some good pace at the minute.
Meanwhile, Cohen is all over the back of Fitzwater. He's still not been able to overtake the Australian at this stage of the race now. Then as they now make their way towards the S's now then on this racetrack, as they now make their way through the left and right-hander on the track. Meanwhile, Fan.Lu is not too far away now from that battle for P number 10. So we talked about earlier on how he could actually have a chance of possibly trying to get some points in this race, but whether he will or not, we'll have to wait and see. But it'd be a good achievement if he can do that in only his 2nd race in the OC. Meanwhile, Cohen now then, once again attacking Fitzwater, but still unable to find a way through on the Australian. Is he close enough to possibly go for a move down into the first corner?
Depends, he just needs to make sure he doesn't mess up in the stadium section and lose a bunch of time, which he hasn't done. You can definitely put the pressure on him. Let's see if he's gonna get him.
Yep, indeed, as they now make their way around the final corner and onto the pit straight now, then we'll go Cesar Cohen Jr. Mackenzie, meanwhile, sets another fastest lap. So we saw that earlier on. He was going quicker, and Mackenzie getting quicker and quicker all the time. I wonder if he is gaining onto Coach and Chiang. But what is going on in the fight for 9th, meanwhile, between Fitzwater and Cohen, as now Cohen now goes onto the inside of Zachary Fitzwater, heading down towards the first corner. Can Cohen get the move done? Down the inside he goes, and he does get the move done. Cohen up into 9th position now then, as Fitzwater continues to tumble down the order.
Yeah, that's right. And it's just not going that great for him at the minute.
As now Newerville will now try and attack the Jaguar driver very soon now in this race. It's so far been a disastrous race for the reigning team's champions in this race so far. As now they make their way towards the chicane. Fitzwater already going defensive, heading into that left-hander. As meanwhile, I think it is going to be in a few laps that we'll see some pit stops, because Fan.Lu is not too far away from the pit stop. Same with many people in the top parts of the races now then. As so I'm thinking about a couple of laps time we will see the mandatory pit stops get underway here in Mexico City. As meanwhile, Lucian has just started lap 20 of the race here at Mexico. Yeah. And still continuing to dominate out in front. He's got an 8-second cushion in front of 2nd place Daniel Adventure at the moment. I have to think it was in 2nd there for a brief period. But look at these 3 now, because Newerville is right up the back of Fitzwater, and so is Fan.Lu. Newerville going to the outside of the Jaguar driver, but can't make it stick. Fan.Lu looking to try and see if he can pounce on any opportunity that presents in front as they now make their way in towards the hairpin now. Then we go on this racetrack now then, as they make their way onto the pit straight now then, as now we look back at FG. Is Fitzwater going to be overtaken once again as we go onto the pit straight now then, running on board with Fan.Lu as we take a look in front to see if Newerville could try and get the move done here on Zachary Fitzwater. They go down towards the first corner on the racetrack now then we go. And Newerville now, they're making her way down towards the straight, but I don't think she's close enough on this occasion. So I think Fitzwater is going to do enough to stay in front for the time being, although she is still in the slipstream of the Jaguar driver. Can she go for a move? She's thinking about a move into the first corner.
Look at that, there's been contact. Yeeted him out of the way, but Fitzwater managed to come back into turn 2.
Yep, neither of them were giving up. We've had a fight there. Luckily, that didn't end in disaster, but all of that, Fitzwater has been able to hold on, as now Fan.Lu will try and take advantage of this.
With that approach, contact was always going to happen. We're lucky it wasn't big contact, as Lu was unable to find a way through.
Yeah, indeed, and that's pretty much that. Really, as Neuville holds on to P number 11 in this race. Meanwhile, FG still trying to gain onto the back of Jefferson and wasn't able to see what the gap was that time by because we've cut to Daniel Adventure. Meanwhile, it's down to 2 seconds, so it might come under 2 seconds when they cross the line very, very soon now. Then, and it has done. So FG is really gaining, and could a podium be on the cards here for FG in this race? As we're at the halfway point of this race here, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
I'm gonna say it's definitely not impossible.
Meanwhile, Fandot Lewis, they've now lost touching distance to Zachary Fitzwater thanks to that collision that Neuville made into the first corner a little bit earlier on. Neuville is now having to fend off from Fandot Lou now then as they fight for 11th place. So still 2 places away from the point is the Neo driver at this stage of the race now then. Lucian still leading the way at this stage of the race. As they come around the S's now, then we will go on this racetrack now, then through the left and then through the right and left we will soon go on this racetrack. Meanwhile, Fandot Lou is now on the back as he's pitting at the end of this lap, so the mandatory pit stops will be starting at the end of this lap, but it looks like Lou's going to overtake Neuville before the pit stops begin. Down the inside he goes, heading into the first corner now, then side by side they go, heading into the first corner. Has he got the move done, or is Neuville going to try and hang it around the outside? Side by side they still go, heading into turn 2, but Lou's got the move done and Fandot Lou is up into P11.
Great stuff from Lou.
Meanwhile, Mackenzie's coming into the pits here in the lap. I think I saw somebody else in the top 5 pitting. It's Martinez. So Martinez, that's surprising. He's one of the early pitters because so far he's looked a little bit off the pace at the moment. He's already been overtaken by FG, so clearly just not feeling the bounce of the car. Clearly the bounce of the car, just not suiting his liking at the moment. But Martinez will be coming in at the end of this lap.
Yes, indeed he will.
As he now just pulls to the right-hand side, which he does. So into the pit comes Rosetta Martinez from 5th position in this race. As meanwhile, Adventure is coming into the pit at the end of this lap for Audi. So for the first of the leaders are coming in. Mackenzie is also going to be coming in for Diaz Cheetah, as is Fandut Lou for Neo. I've noticed that as well. As in fact, FG is coming into the pits in this lap as well. I saw a red indicator on the top of Cohen's car there. So FG will be coming in at the end of this lap as well. Meanwhile, Martinez finishes a pit stop, and a 7.2 second stop from the Nissan mechanics, just as Jay McKenzie now comes into pit lane for Tech Cheetah now then, as Kochi Chion will go through for at least another couple of laps in the Audi now then, whereas Martinez is going to place himself after his pit stop. He comes out in 6th position now then, so he's got a bit of a gap to Kochi Chion just behind, so the Malaysian driver shouldn't interfere with him too much as he's still trying to build up the speed as they go into the first corner. McKenzie finishes off his pit stop as Lou and Neuville now both come into the pits for their mandatory pit stop in this race here, as they now just come down the straight now. Then we will go as FG and Adventure, of course, are now coming into the pits at the end of this lap. So the mandatory pit stops are coming in thick and fast as Lucian's teammate, Coach Chung Cheong, is coming into the pit at the end of this lap. But as mentioned, of course, the pit stops are now coming in thick and fast.
Yeah, indeed, 7.3 for Lou. So we're going to see what sort of pace he can get in the middle stint. I expect he'll be a little slower. He'll pick the earliest.
Yeah, indeed. Neuville rejoins in 18th. Lou comes out still in front of the Mercedes driver in 17th position, as now Adventure comes into the pit for Audi. So into the pits comes the Audi driver, and in comes Murin FG, who looks to try and get the jump on Alan Jefferson in the pits if he can. Coach Chun Cheong is also coming into the pits as well for Venturi. So we've got 3 pit calls on this lap as a result. So let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for these guys, as Adventure 5.8 second stop. That's a very quick stop from the Audi mechanics. What about Murin FG?
I did not expect that. That was a quick effort.
As we've got a yellow flag, meanwhile, where's that? That's Neuville. She's gone for a spin at turn number 4. And was that because she collided with Lou? If that's the case, then once again,
to be.
And it was. So once again, impatience see as Lou having to take to the grass there, but luckily doesn't lose a place as a result of that. But it's going to lose him a bit of track time to Zachary Fitzwater when he makes his pit stop. Lucian is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Meanwhile, for Venturi, his Adventure rejoins in 3rd. FG rejoins in 4th. Coach John Cheong has just finished his pit stop. And Martinez should get by on the Venturi with no issues whatsoever. So Martinez just goes breezing by as a result, as Coach Cheong is still up to make a pit stop and still not pitting just yet, as it looks like his brother is going to rejoin right in front of him on the racetrack, and he is. So Coach John rejoins his 6th position after the pit stop there. He's also determined to try and finish this race, of course, because obviously, whilst he was technically classified last time out, he did retire with a lap to go in the race, so he's still yet to see the checkered flag this season. As meanwhile, Lou obviously having to recover from that. Looks like Lou and Neuville are regaining their battles, and Neuville's already caught back up to Lou from that whole exchange that happened at the chicane a little bit earlier on. Meanwhile, Patacek is on the inside of Nguyen here as they make their way down towards the first corner on the racetrack. Side by side they go, heading into the first corner, and Patacek gets the move done. He gets up into 13th, but meanwhile, Skiratis is into the pits for his mandatory pit stop as pursuit, but I'm pretty sure Lucian is also into the pits as well. Yes, he is. The race leader is now into the pit, and Jefferson will take the lead temporarily, but Lucian now comes in for his mandatory pit stop here in Mexico. Just having a look at how quick the pit stop is going to be for him, and it is a 6.8 second stop. Not as quick as what we saw Adventure, but he doesn't need to worry anyway because he had a big gap to the Audi regardless.
I think Adventure's pit stop is going to be one of a kind today.
Yep, indeed. Meanwhile, Jefferson is coming into the pits in this lap, so we'll wait and see if FG is... Oh, contact's been made between the two brothers! Heading into that part of the track as Kochi goes through there on Kochong, and, well, Kochi's not going to get held up by his teammate, who obviously has just made a pit stop, but I don't think those
He really wasn't eager to stay behind his brother there.
Yep, so I guess there's going to be a little bit of an argument in the Cheong household a little bit later on about that one. We'll have to wait and see on that.
If they live together, of course.
I think from what I've heard they do, but we'll wait. But I guess that's something for Hine to answer himself there if he wants to. But anyway, as Cohen now comes into the pits, as he'll be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Lucian, of course, is still way ahead in front of Adventure, but of course, as mentioned, Jefferson is coming into the pits at the end of this lap very, very soon now then. As meanwhile, Kochung Cheong is actually only just 0.9 seconds now. Well, in fact, he's behind Kochi because he, of course, made contact, so ignore what I was just about to say. Kwan and Carpenter and Nguyen are now into the pits for their mandatory pit stop, and pretty soon we'll see Alan Jefferson making his pit stop for Nissan. Here he is, and he'll be coming in at the end of this lap.
Yes, that's right.
But the question is, of course, because obviously FG pitted earlier on, is FG going to get the jump on Alan Jefferson? FG's just coming around the S's right now as we speak, as his teammate Cohen is coming into the pits very, very soon now then, as meanwhile Jefferson will pull into his box very, very soon. Meanwhile, Coach on Cheong is now having to defend from, speaking of which, Cesar Cohen Jr., who is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, as Jefferson now then makes his pit stop, as he will now pull into his box. So Lucian will retake the lead as a result, and Adventure should comfortably get himself back into second position. So Lucian now reclaims the lead, but is FG going to get the jump here on Jefferson, as he's just finished his pit stop, a 6.1 second stop from the Nissan mechanics, and in fact Adventure's not past him just yet. So we'll wait and see now then as Adventure goes through, and Jefferson I think is still going to emerge in front of FG, and he is. In fact, he's pulled a bit of a gap to FG as a result, so that's a bit surprising. I was expecting FG to be a little bit closer, seeing he was on a couple of laps of fresher tyres there before Jefferson made his pit stop.
Well, the overcut is pretty strong here, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, indeed. So Jefferson still rejoins in third, and I think with 2 laps fresher tyres than what FG has, in theory, he should be able to pull away. But we'll wait and see how that one sort of works out then. Meanwhile, we're looking at the Gurmin Kwan, who's over the back of Panduk Lu, as Cohen, meanwhile, comes in from Mahindras. The more side-by-side action behind is Skiratis, Lou's teammates, trying to have a go, and I think that was Carpenter going into that part. Patacek in 10th, but of course he still needs to make his pit stop, as you can see, on the def panel on the top there. But so it won't be for too long that he's in the top 10. Kochi is still to make a pit stop at this stage at the moment. I think the top 3 have all made their pit stops, so the top 4 I should say, so there shouldn't be any issues there as far as that's concerned. Top 5 I should say.
Joe, you know who's not getting top 4 this year?
I don't want to know, because I don't know. But anyway, as meanwhile, I think I said 3.9 there between FG and Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll keep an eye on that just to see if the tyres have any difference between the pair of them. We'll have to wait and see, as Jefferson is currently 3.4 seconds behind Adventure at the moment, as they now make their way in towards the final couple of corners on this racetrack now. Then as they go around the final corner and on to the pit straight now, then we will go. As Lucian, meanwhile, is still dominating out in front. 10.8 seconds now. We've got to Adventure. He's been flying so far in this race.
Yeah, indeed.
And, well, so far we saw the pace of Venturi during pre-season testing, of course. So we'll have to wait and see if this is now going to be the start of Venturi's season, now that they are a Group 1 team, of course, switching places with with Mercedes, of course. And just to clarify, yeah, FG is now starting to lose pace to Jefferson. So, yeah, those fresher tyres are starting to come good for Jefferson as he's now starting to pull away from Mir and FG. I wonder if he's gaining onto Adventure, though, because he's on much fresher tyres than what the Audi driver is. It is currently 3.4 seconds to do the pair. And there is Adventure just here. You just about saw on the onboard camera there. So we'll wait and see if that's the case. As meanwhile, Adventure's teammate, Kochi Cheong, is finally going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap for his mandatory pit stop. So,
I think it will be like that.
yeah, we shall wait and see. As Fitzwater is also coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Now, whether I think he shouldn't have any issues with Lou and Neuville because, of course, those two collided after they made their mandatory pit stop, so it shouldn't be too much issue. Patricek also coming in, so I think we're seeing the final pit stops being done in this race. Skiritis now then goes for a move here on Nagu and Minquan as they go side by side, heading down towards the first corner, and he should get the move done. Heading into the first corner now, then into turn 1 we go. Down the inside, and he gets the move done. So up into P15 goes Skiritis there. So it's actually gone up to 3.5 seconds. So in fact, Jefferson actually lost a tenth to Adventure that time by in the middle sector. Is it going to be the same when they cross the line this time by? Let's have a look. As no, he's brought it back down to 3.3. So maybe Adventure just gained a little bit that time by in the middle sector, or maybe there was a little error that Jefferson made there. I'm not sure, but either way, he's now starting to reel back Adventure in front.
Yes, indeed.
Kochi Cheong's into the pit, as is Zachary Fitzwater in the Jaguar. So 2 cars are now in. They'll also be joined, I think, by Patricek, if my memory serves me correct. Yes, he is. So Patricek is coming in. So in fact, on seen by the cameras, Neuville has actually passed Lou somewhere on the racetrack. So she's finally free of the Neo driver. That happened clearly a few laps ago, that happened. So that's pretty much that. As meanwhile, Cohen will get himself back into the point now that those three are in the pit lane. So he gets himself up into 9th position. In fact, Kochi exits in P8 as Patricek is in the pit lane now. Then for Mercedes, he finishes off his pit stop. A 6.5 second stop for him. Is he going to come out in front of teammate Neuville after the collision he had with Lou earlier on? We'll have to wait and see. So Patricek comes out of pit lane and he is going to emerge in P11. So it just shows that contact that happened between Lou and Neuville cost him dearly, because now Patricek has come out in front of his teammate.
Indeed.
It's 3.3 seconds still between Jefferson and Adventure. So Jefferson is not really gaining too much at this stage of the race as Lucien continues to pull away out in front at the moment now. Then doesn't look like there's too many battles going on the racetrack as we speak. As you mentioned earlier on, Robert, it seems that everything's tied out, well, apart from towards the rear of the field, because it looks like Kwan and Nguyen are going into combat here, the two compatriots heading down towards turns 4 and 5 now then. And in fact, it's been a terrible race for Envision Virgin Racing, because you've got Kwan in front of Nguyen here, and then you've got Proxy, who obviously, let's not forget, does have that 5-second time penalty, is down the field, down in 18th place. So really, the penalty is not going to matter too much for Proxy, because it's just been a terrible race for Virgin so far.
Yeah, definitely.
And, well, I guess this is just a race to forget for them. They'll have to move on to Watkins Glen in 3 weeks' time.
Indeed, and it'll be a brand new experience for everybody.
Yeah, because of course the OC, not just Formula E, but the OC as a whole has never raced around Watkins Glen either. So that should be very exciting. I know that Blake has done.
It's hard to believe, honestly, but we are going to go there for the first time.
Yeah, it's taken us a while, but we're finally going there. I know that Blake has done some extensive testing during the off-season with that track, and I think it's all positive from what I understand. So,
which version of it is it, by the way? The full circuit?
It's the mod. I think it's the full circuit. Yes, because I think that's the only one. No, I think the short circuit is available on GP4, but I think it is the long circuit. From what? Is it the short circuit we're using? Ah, that's the long circuit. That's the long circuit then. So the GP's
with or without the chicane.
I think I saw the mod only has the chicane in it, so I think we're going to have the chicane in that. So it will have the bus stop chicane, the infamous bus stop chicane in that, which should be very exciting, should open up an overtaking opportunity as well, because it's quite a long run down towards that part, especially at the start of races. That's going to be quite interesting as well when we get there in 3 weeks' time. Meanwhile, Jefferson has cut the gap a little bit to 3 seconds. Can he bring it under 3 seconds this time by? No, it's not. So he is gaining, but it's only really slowly, really. And I think if this keeps up, Rob, I don't think he's going to get onto the back of Adventure.
I'm not sure. There's still plenty of time in this race. His pace could improve as time goes on.
Yeah, indeed. As now we look back at Lucien. In fact, he's going to be coming up to some traffic soon because so far Nguyen still finding himself in an Envision Virgin Racing sandwich at the moment. As meanwhile, Van.Lu and Neuville are resuming their fight from earlier on. They obviously had a collision earlier on down at turn 4, and Lou now trying to reclaim P12 from the Belgian driver here as they are away from the points. As Patacek, who's on fresher tyres compared to those two, is now pulling away. I wonder what his pace is like compared to Fitzwater. I think both of them pitted at the same time, if my memory served me correct. So I don't know. He's 8.2 seconds behind. So yeah, that's a bit of an ask for him to try and get the final points place off of Fitzwater at this stage. But you never know, of course.
I think Lou is going to fight like Lu Bu, and if you don't know who Lu Bu is, he's a warrior from ancient China.
Ah, okay. So anyway, speaking of which, Van.Lu is now onto the back of Villeneuve as they go down towards the first corner now down the racetrack lane side by side. Heading towards the first corner. Can Lou reclaim 12th here from Villeneuve? Side by side they go. Heading towards the first corner, side by side, heading into turn 1, and I think Lou's got the move done.
He's got him.
So up into 12th place goes Van.Lu.
He's got her, sorry, not him.
Yeah, and up into 12th place goes Van.Lu. Proxy now on the inside of Nguyen, heading into the first corner, and he gets the move done. So he's up into 17th on the road, of course, but he does have that 5-second time penalty. So technically, he's still behind Nguyen in the on the timing.
Yep.
As meanwhile, we now look at there is Carpenter. Meanwhile, who's in fact got Skiritis right behind. There's the two Envision Virgin Racing cars going to combat. Quan and Proxy fighting for 16th position. It's not been the best of races for them, it must be said, as Lucien, as I talked about earlier on, is pretty soon going to be coming up to lap those guys in just a little bit. So we'll just have to wait and see how that one sort of prevails, really, as now they make their way through into the S's. Now then, we will go on this racetrack as riding on board with Skiritis, who's trying to put the pressure on the DS Cheetah in front of Owen Carpenter as they now make their way towards the stadium section. Now then, we will go as he now tries to look to the outside line, but he can't make that stick for the time being. So Carpenter holding on for the moment now then, as they now come around the stadium now then, as meanwhile Proxy are going to defend from the gun, and here is the race leader who's going to be coming up to lap them very, very soon. So wonder how long it's going to take for Lucien to get past these guys.
Well, he will be held up, but he has such a massive lead that it's not really gonna amount to anything.
Indeed so, as they come around the final corner and onto the pit straight now then, we shall go on this racetrack now then, as the Nguyen now then will try and see if he can get back at Proxy, but I don't think he's close enough on that occasion. So I think, in fact, Lucien might actually... I think Lucien might actually lap the Porsche driver before he has a chance of getting back at the Envision Virgin Racing cars. Maybe not down into turn 1, but I think Lucien might actually value him on the exit of turn 3 here. We shall wait and see. He's now caught up to the back of all three of them now then, and Lucien, I think, is going to go through. He's pulling off to the right, and I think, yep, so now Nguyen is a lap down on the race leader. And Lucien will now do the same for the two Envision Virgin Racing cars. I wonder if Adventure will have to lap that traffic a little bit later on. The gap now down to 2.8 seconds between Adventure and Jefferson meanwhile. And yeah, it just doesn't look like he's gaining enough to possibly get second place by the end of the race.
I think, I don't think he's going to give up so soon though.
Yeah, indeed, and we'll have to wait and see how that sort of prevails. Lucien has still not been able to lap Ruslan Protsiuk at the moment in this race, as they now make their way around the right and left-hander on this racetrack now. Then, is he going to put a lap on him this time by? He is indeed, so I wonder if Nguyen can try and take full advantage of this. I don't think he is, because I think he's too far back to have a go at the Envision Virgin Racing car, and he's still quite a bit back from Protsiuk at the moment to try and regain that place off of him at this stage now. Then as Lucien will try and put a lap on Nguyen Minh Quan in front as well. And again, just to reiterate, it's just been a really terrible race for Envision Virgin Racing today. The gap down to 2.7 meanwhile between Adventure and Jefferson, as they trying to fight it out for the final two places on the podium, as Lucien is just too far away from those two.
Yep, at the moment, Lucien is doing a fantastic job, and I don't see him losing this race without some freak occurrence, like a mechanical failure or something like that. He's doing a very good job, just has to bring it home. Yeah,
indeed. Meanwhile, just looking down the lower reaches at the moment, it's under 4 seconds at the moment between Kochi Cheong and of course Seita Cohen Jr. So I don't know if Cohen is gaining on to Kochi or not, but we'll obviously wait and see how that one sort of progresses. In fact, no, he's not. He's just actually lost the time to Kochi in the second sector. He's now actually got it up to 4.1 seconds at the moment. As everything just seems to be spaced out at the moment, except for the lower reaches of the position at the moment. It seems to have all calmed down at this stage, but it looks like the two Envision Virgin Racing cars are going to be soon going into combat once again for the back end of the positions here.
Yeah.
Clearly no team orders at this team at the moment, although, to be honest, there's probably not much of a need for team orders because it has been a disastrous race for the British-based team, and one they'll want to move on from pretty quickly, it must be said, when they go to Watkins Glen in 3 weeks' time for the New York ePrix, as Blake has titled it for this one. I mean, there was a debate about the ePrix name in the end, but he decided New York ePrix it is, so naming it...
Yeah, because it's a long, long distance away from New York City.
Yeah, well, we've named it after the state where it is, so
yeah,
I guess
that's
we'll
better.
we'll just go with that. So anyway, so meanwhile, in fact, I've just noticed there, whilst we were looking away, Jefferson may have actually just started to get his foot down because he's now put the gap down to 2.2 seconds. So from the last time we checked, he's actually taken 5 attempts out of Adventure. So is he now starting to get the hammer down here?
I think so. I told you he's not going to give up so soon, and he's increasing his pace. Definitely has a chance for second. 1.9 the gap, 10 laps, definitely catchable.
He's taken 2 attempts out of him on that occasion now then, as we ride on board with Alan Jefferson heading down towards the first corner now. Then we go on this racetrack now then, as he makes his way through the second corner and then into turn 3 we go. Is he still going to be able to cut the gap as we come out at the end of sector 1 here on this racetrack now?
Just wanted to say Jefferson needs to keep his composure, because in racing there's nothing harder to do than chasing a car with just a few laps to go.
Yep, although it looks like Adventure actually responded there going into the first sector. He's brought it back up to just over 2 seconds now then. So looks like Jefferson's going to have to dig deep a little bit more in the final 2 sectors. As the 2 Envision Virgin Racing cars still into combat for 16th on the road. Of course, a reminder that Proxy does have a 5-second time penalty for overtaking under wave yellow flags earlier on. Griffiths also had a time penalty for a crash he caused earlier on, but he's out of the race, so it's not going to matter too much where he ends up at the end of it, because it doesn't really matter, of course. I guess he kind of got a little bit of karma for what happened at the first corner earlier on with I think it was Sousa, wasn't it, if my memory serves me correct. So, Murillo Sousa, yep, Blake just confirmed that to me in my ear just there. So, anyway, as they come around the final corner now, then we go on this racetrack, and Proxy is going to line up a move here on the Gurman Kwan as they make their way down towards the first corner now. They're on the racetrack. He's now going to go to the inside line. Can Proxy pull the move off here on the Gurman Kwan as they make their way down towards turns 1, 2 and 3 on this racetrack we go. Heading down towards the first corner we go as they go side by side, heading towards the first corner. Danny inside he goes and he gets the move done. Proxy moves up to 16th on the road, of course, and he gets the move done on his teammate that time by. So finally he passes him, as meanwhile Mackenzie looking pretty lonely in 7th place. Can't remember if he's still holding on to the fastest lap or not, or whether it's still Mackenzie,
so.
or whether it's still if it's still Lucian that's currently holding on to it. I guess we'll have to find out when the race finishes, of course. But anyway.
Meanwhile, Marc Marquez finally finished the race this season. I'm so happy.
Yep, as that is the wrong button there at Blake. So I know he was trying to find the leaderboard there. It doesn't matter too much, Blake. We'll look at it after the race, of course. In fact, no, we can see it from the... well, we did, but I think you can actually see it from here, actually, if my memory serves me correct. Just looking at the green numbers. I think if we go up, I think it is still Kochi. Not Kochi, Lucian at the moment. So I do think it is still Lucian that holds on to the fastest lap of the race.
We'll check at the end anyway.
Yep, indeed. It's not going to be too much of an issue anyway. But it looks like 13th, 14th and 15th are going to be close to battle finish soon. Is Jefferson starting to respond again to Adventure, I wonder? As, whereabouts is those two on the racetrack? I think we kind of missed them there a little bit. I think they're behind these two. There they are. Yeah, he's got it down to 1.6 seconds. And now Jefferson is starting to reel in the German driver as he wants that second place in this race. Of course, that's where he finished, of course, when he returned to FE last season at Manama, and he's looking to try and equal that as best as possible. Can't remember if Jefferson's ever had a victory or not in the GP4 Z fraternity. I guess somebody can let us know or not. But I don't. Well, obviously today I think it's highly unlikely he's going to get a victory due to how far away Lucien is in front. But second place is definitely on the cards, and he's now put it down to 1.5 seconds as they've just crossed the line there. We've got 8 laps to go, including this one of this race here in Mexico City, and it looks like the battle for second could be on in the closing stages. As Quan tries to re-overtake Proxy there, but can't make a stick, as Nguyen just watches on in the background to see if anything happens between the two teammates. As now coming around turns 2 and 3. In fact, interestingly enough, about these two, they're going to actually have to come up to that traffic, I think, pretty soon. So that could help Jefferson in his fight for. Whoa, hang on, hold the phone for a moment, because Quan's just re-overtaken Proxy into the chicane. Was there actually contact between the two Virgin Racing cars there? Let's have a look. So Quan leaving the braking a little bit late, and there was a bit of contact there. So rule 1 in racing, never hit your teammate, but luckily it didn't end in disaster on that occasion, as Lucien's coming up to that. Owen Carpenter himself has not had a good race. Once again, his teammate outpacing him in this race, it must be said, and looking like to get some more points. Some people just don't
want to follow the rules, I'm afraid.
Yeah, indeed. Meanwhile, looking at these two, as I mentioned, these two are going to have to come up to that traffic pretty soon, so that could fall into Jefferson's hands should they catch up to it.
Yeah, for sure.
As they now make their way in towards the hairpin, Skaratis is now going to put Neuville under a bit of pressure here as they now make their way in towards the final couple of corners on the racetrack. Now then we will go as they now round the final corner and onto the pit straight. Now then we will go. Skaratis going to pull the move off on Neuville in front, as Neuville is actually going backwards now in this race. Van Duck Lou has just gapped her as a result, and now Van Duck Lou's teammate Jakuba Skaratis is now going to pull the overtake off if he can, as he now goes to the inside line. Side by side they go, heading towards the first corner now. Is Skaratis going to pull the move off here on Neuville heading into the first corner? And yes, he can. The Lithuanian driver is up into 13th position as Neuville continues to tumble down the orders. Carpenter will be next to try and overtake her, as she'll soon, of course, be lapped by Alexander Lucien. The gap is now actually gone up to 1.8 seconds between Adventure and Jefferson, so Adventure starting to respond a little bit here.
Yeah, but even so, Jefferson is still making considerable gains.
He is indeed, and well, we'll have to wait and see if he's able to respond in these next few sectors. They've just come out of sector 1 there, and it's actually now gone up again to 1.9 seconds. So has just a bit of contact there between Nguyen and Protsu. Might have been a bump and run here between these two. Let's have a look, and yes, it was indeed. So that will just count as a bump and run.
You could argue Protsu moved under braking a little.
Yeah, but either way, no penalty dished out for that, as now they're going to be lapped by Adventure here, and well, it depends on how long it's going to take.
That's going to cost him a lot of time, but it's now going to be Jefferson's pain to deal with.
As now Jefferson
he deals with it easily.
Yes, indeed, and now he's closer to Adventure as a result of that, as they now make their way in towards the S's. Now then we will go on this racetrack now, then as they now make their way in towards the right and left-hander, flicking it in for the right, then through into the left-hander. Now then we will go on this racetrack as they come down towards the stadium section. Lucien now dealing with some traffic. He's already lapped Carpenter, and now he's trying to lap, I think, Neuville in front, who's obviously just been overtaken by Skaratis that we saw a little bit earlier on, as they now make their way in towards the stadium section. Go Adventure and Jefferson now, then they flick the car in for the left, then through into the right we go.
For the first time in this race, Jefferson finally has a chance to get past Adventure. Let's see if we can get him first try.
Well, he's not close enough on this occasion, but he's definitely getting closer and closer to the Audi driver at every point in time. And now they come down the pit straight now, then we will go as Jefferson 0.8 seconds behind, not close enough on this occasion. He's just got to try in the braking zone to try and close him up and be close to him on the next lap, unless they come up to some more traffic in just a little bit. There is a bit more traffic in front that Jefferson could use to his advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
They're just coming around that corners. Meanwhile, Neuville trying to re-overtake Skaratis, who himself has just been lapped by the race leader, Alex-Eric Lucien, as they now make their way around the double right-hander now. Then we will go running on board with Ellen Jefferson now, then who's now 1 second behind. Adventure trying to respond, but as mentioned, he's got some more traffic to deal with in front, and I think it's Hoang Min Nguyen he's got to lap at this point in time. We shall wait and see. Here is Miran FG, meanwhile, he's 3.7 seconds behind Alan Jefferson, meanwhile. In fact, he's been gaining onto Jefferson in the meantime, quietly at the moment. Whether he can gain onto him by the end of the race, I'm not sure. It's going to be a bit of an ass with 5 and a bit laps to go here at Mexico City, as they now make their way through into the S's now. Then we will go. They're not quite at the traffic just yet, these two are, as they now come around the right and left-hander now. Then we go. And so now we come down towards the stadium section. Meanwhile, 13th, 14th and 15th are into combat once again. Skaratis, Neuville and Carpenter, as now running aboard with Alan Jefferson now. Then he makes his way in towards the hairpin now then. Well, we will go on this racetrack. 5 laps to go for race leader Alex-Eric Lucien, as he's just dealt with the traffic and is continuing to dominate and in front. Last time I checked, it was around 17 seconds to his own adventure. Meanwhile, Carpenter having a go at Neuville heading into the first corner there. He might be able to get the move done into turn 1. Meanwhile, 1 second between Jefferson and Adventure, as Carpenter has got the move done. So Carpenter, up into 14th place, gets the move done on Neuville as a result, as Neuville has fallen backwards. Has now fallen backwards in this race now then. Heading down towards the first corner we go, as we now look at that's Adventure getting close to the back of Hoang Minh Nguyen. Is he going to have traffic issues like we saw when he was lapping Ruslan Proxy a little bit earlier on? We shall wait and see now then, as we ride on board with Hoang Minh Nguyen there briefly there, as now we ride on board back with Daniel Adventure as they make their way in towards the chicane through the left and then through into the right-hander now then. We will go on this racetrack now then, heading into the double right-hander we go, flicking the car in.
I think he should be able to pull a lap there on this short straight. Yes.
Yep, he pulls a lap there, so he's not going to take too much. This could actually impede Jefferson, because he's still behind the Porsche driver as they make their way through the S's, and he's going to get held up quite badly here by Nguyen here, I think. And, well, this is going to give Adventure all he needs to pull a gap at the moment, as FG now comes up to lap Ruslan Proxy in front as he tries to gain onto Jefferson, because the gap is 3.3 seconds at the moment, as Jefferson still getting held up by Nguyen, but finally he is going to lap him, but he's making it a little bit awkward, and well, FG will gain a little bit as a result, but he's got to lap Nguyen first.
This might have bailed Adventure out.
Yes, indeed, but it might not have bailed Jefferson out from FG, because FG is now getting closer now as a result. Could a podium still be on the cards for the Swedish driver here?
I'm going to say it's definitely not impossible.
Yep, with 4 laps to go, anything is still possible. He's now going to lap Nguyen as to come onto the pit straight now. Then as he pulls to the right-hand side, which he does, so he's now pulled a lap on him there then, as they now make their way in towards the first few turns. On the racetrack we go now then. 16 seconds is the gap between Lucien and Adventure. I think most of that was down to the traffic that Lucien was lapping a little bit earlier on, but it's not going to matter too much because he's got a big gap in front of Adventure at this stage. Riding aboard with FG, who just comes around turn number 3. On the racetrack now then we go now then, as they make their way heading towards the left-right chicane we go. In this part of the track now then we go, as they now make their way, heading their way towards the left-right chicane. And now we come around the S's now then. We will go, as here is Lucien, who's soon going to be starting lap 40 of the race very, very soon now then. As now we look at Miran FG now then, as he now makes his way towards the S's, as he's 1.3 seconds now behind Alan Jefferson, flicking it in for the left, then through into the right, and through into the left, right, left. We will soon go on this racetrack, and FG get close to Jefferson or not. I'm not sure at the moment. As they come around these section of corners now, then we will go on this racetrack now. They're heading down towards the stadium section. We will soon approach on this racetrack now. They're flicking it in through the right-hander now. Then we go as they now make their way, heading their way in towards the hairpin. 3 laps to go for Alex-Eric Lucien in the Venturi, and looking good to get his first ever GP4 OC victory at the moment now. Then they come around the final couple of corners on the racetrack. The gap is still 1.3 seconds between FG and Jefferson at this stage of the race now then. As they come onto the pit straight now then, we will soon approach. And that's that really, as FG still not close enough to get Jefferson at the moment. And in fact, Jefferson has now started to pull away again. So I think FG, who knows really, maybe he's just burnt his tyres out, we'll have to say.
Perhaps.
Perhaps indeed, we'll have to wait and see on that one really, as they now come around the double right-hander now then, as looking at Lucien, who's still got a commanding lead out in front. He'll soon be starting the penultimate lap in this race very, very soon now then, as they make their way through into the S's there. And Adventure now coming up to some traffic once again in the form of Nguyen Minh Quan. Is he going to get held up too much by the Envision Virgin Racing car? Not too much, and he's still got a comfortable gap to Jefferson. But is Jefferson going to get held up by Quan here, which could bring FG back into the play?
Perhaps. We'll see.
Through the right, through the left, and then through into the right, left of the S's now, then we will go. As he flicks the car in for the right, then through into the left-hander now, then we will go. As we now look back at Jefferson, who's now making his way towards the stadium section on this racetrack now then, and he's still not close to the back marker just yet. That's probably FG's only chance, because he has Jefferson has been slowly getting away from the Mahindra driver, and this could be FG's only chance to possibly get that final podium place off of the Nissan driver. 2 laps to go for Alex-Eric Lucien here in Mexico City, and as long as nothing happens to him, he is looking good to get the victory here in Mexico.
Yeah, indeed.
Through turn 3 now, then we will go as now they make their way through into the corner. To be fair, Fitzwater, there were a few accidents in this race, but nothing really unusual. Yeah, not really too much has happened in this race, if I'm being honest. It hasn't been the best of races, it must be said, but it's not been boring at the same time. It's just been kind of middle in the road, it must be said. But
pretty
yeah,
good description.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's just kind of the case here with Mexico, if I'm being totally honest. There's still FG not close enough to Jefferson at the moment. I don't know if they're close to that bit of traffic that was in front of them or not. But again, that's probably FG's only chance of possibly getting the podium. Somebody's just pitched the fastest lap there. I just saw a little graphic pop up for someone, but I'm not sure who that was. I guess we'll just check that out after the race, of course. But meanwhile, in fact, Fitzwater's final points place is not secure just yet because Marat Patricek has been eating into his lead for a little bit, so they could be fighting for the final 2 laps for that final points place. We shall wait and see. Jefferson now coming up to that traffic in front, which is probably FG's only chance, but I think it's probably not going to be enough because the gap is up to 1.6 seconds at the moment. And is Kwan getting out of the way? No, he's not. Jefferson not close enough on that occasion now then, as FG also approaching the stadium section like Jefferson was on that occasion. But meanwhile, Lucien, who's just taken the fastest lap back, has just started the final lap of the race here in Mexico City. And wow, what a dominant drive and a dominant meeting it's been for Alex-Eric Lucien. Started on pole, got a great launch off the line, and never really looked back, Rob. It's been a dominant display from him. Meanwhile, Jefferson now coming up to lap Nguyen Minh Quan, and FG is not going to get a chance. So I think Jefferson will do enough to hold on to third. But as mentioned, Rob, a dominant display from Alex-Eric Lucien today.
Absolutely. He was under no threat even at the start, and that just persisted for the remainder of the race. No one could match up to him today.
No, definitely not, and he's looking good to get the victory. As meanwhile, Patricek is close to the back of Fitzwater. Can he get him before the end of the race? As Lucien's just going around the double right-hander now then, and well, they've just come out the S's as those two battling cars there. As well, I think they're going to continue their fight onto the final lap of the race now then. Of course, we will update you if anything has happened between those two. But now riding on board with Alex-Eric Lucien as he comes around the S's for the 42nd and final time here today, as he now makes his way towards the stadium section now then. Meanwhile, Patricek getting close to the back of Fitzwater, but we'll keep an eye on Lucien as he's about to finish the race now then. It's just been a totally dominant display for the Frenchman, and well, he's never really looked back. He switched to Formula E this season, and it's definitely paid off for him, and he's going to get his first ever victory in the GP4 OC Fraternities. He rounds the final 2 corner for the 42nd and final time, and after a dominant performance, it is going to be Alex-Eric Lucien who wins the Mexico City ePrix here in Mexico. A brilliant drive from Alex-Eric Lucien as he takes his first ever GP4 OC win. As Rob has just said there, Patricek has passed Fitzwater on the final lap, so Patricek is now into the point.
You should see how he did it, as Jefferson will take third.
Yep, so Adventure second, Jefferson in third, FG in fourth. Still a good result for the Mahindra driver nonetheless. Proxy will, even though with his 5-second penalty, he'll still be last anyway, so no changes in terms of his position. As P5 will go to Rosetta Martinez. Coach Chun Cheong tried to close him down on the final lap there, but it wasn't enough in the end, and he's going to get sick. P7 for Jay McKenzie, more points for the TS Cheetah driver. I wonder if he's going to try and take the fastest lap of the way, because we saw that he was challenging, but he doesn't. So Lucien's going to hold on to it. I think we will double check when we get to the end graphic result later. As it's P8 for Kochi Cheong there, as he tried to recover as best as possible. Cesar Cohen Jr. P9, so double points for Mahindra today. Is Marat Patricek, a good recovery for him. He's going to finish in 10th in the Mercedes after passing Zachary Fitzwater on the final lap. I'm going to presume he did it down at turn 1.
Yeah, probably.
And we're going to take a look at that replay just before they cross the line, of course, as in fact it's gone a little bit, it's reached the replay limit there. That's obviously something that Blake will probably have to sort out for next time by. It's something that you'll have to sort out on the vanilla game to get it to work. But anyway, as Lucien now then making his way around the final corner, and he's going to cross the line in P10, so a good effort for him there.
You mean Patrick, Lucien won.
Patricek finishes P10, I got those two mixed up, and P11 for Fitzwater, and that is the race done with. with Alex-Eric Lucien, your winner here in Mexico City. A totally dominant performance from the French driver, and well, he's definitely going to be happy with his first ever GP4 OC victory. Let's take a
Lucien
look
won
then.
and finished 10th in the same race. What a brilliant performance.
Anyway, let's take a look then at the full race results here at Mexico City. Alex-Eric Lucien takes his first ever victory with Daniel Adventure in second. Alan Jefferson rounds out the podium in third. Miran Evchi, a very impressive fourth, with Rosetta Martinez in fifth. Coach Cheong in sixth, with Jay McKenzie in seventh. And then it's Kochi Cheong in P8. Cesar Cohen Jr. in P9, with Marat Patacek rounding out the points in 10th. Zachary Fitzwater concluding a disappointing weekend for Jaguar in 11th. And you could do the rest, Rob.
Yeah, sure. Fanduclu is in P12 with Jokubas Caraites 13th. John Carpenter is in 14th, followed by Belen Urville 15th. Then there's Juan Minanguyan in 16th and Huang Minanguyan in 17th. Ruslan Protsuk is in 18th, followed by Jamie Griffiths, who is out. And the other DNFs are Murillo Souza, Adrian Schlegel, and Dylan Allen.
Yep, and the fastest lap, just to confirm, who's getting away with the 2 bonus points, and it is Alex-Eric Lucien. So along with the 25 points that he gets for the victory, he also gets the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race. So 27 points going to the way of Alex-Eric Lucien here today. Well, there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the Mexico City ePrix here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. A very, very good race indeed. And, well, it wasn't the best. It wasn't as good as Interlagos, but it was still had its moments nonetheless. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it. The next Formula E race, you're going to have to wait a little bit. It'll be in 3 weeks' time at the Watkins Glen International for the New York ePrix. The first ever time a GP4 OC series has been to Watkins Glen, and hopefully it'll be an exciting race in 3 weeks' time. Don't forget, tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, World Champ Car and the Top Class are in action. World Champ Car is over at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas for round 2 of the championship, whilst the Top Class are over at the Baku City Circuit for the running of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Formula 2 isn't on this week. It'll be back next week instead at Mazzano, so do look forward to that. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I'm JW97. He's been Rob, and we will see you in 3 weeks' time over at the Glen. Till then, take care.
Bye-bye.